This is the regular meeting of the Land Use Board of the Township of Greenwich. Adequate notice of this meeting has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, and that a notice was published in the Star Ledger and Daily Record newspapers. Notice was posted at the Municipal Building Board in the Township Administration Building in Greenwich Township, New Jersey, and notice was filed with the Township Clerk.
Roll call.
Mr. Scuderi,
Here.
Mr. Barsney,
He is absent and recused.
Mr. Chichillo,
Here.
Mr. Baylor,
He's absent.
Ms. Cullen,
Here.
Mr. Hill,
He's absent and recused.
Mr. Blunt,
Here.
Ms. Sherlaw. Here. Mr. Bradlaugh,
Here.
Ms. Parker,
Here.
Mr. Graham,
Here.
Mr. Coulter John,
Here.
Mr. Ritt.
Here. All right, let's rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first and only order of business, public hearing, Land Use Board number 2024-04. Tinsley, Greenwich Township LLC. Mr. O'Carroll, give us a little bit.
Thank you. It's very nice to be here. Is it still the dummy mic?
That's
Still the dummy mic.
All right.
The mics are up in the ceiling. The dummy mic is just there because it's a dummy mic.
Thank you.
We're gonna accept your appearance for the record.
Absolutely. My name is Michael LaParry. I'm a partner with Mandelbaum Barrett. I'm counsel to the applicant, the Tinsley Greenwich Township NJ LLC. We are here again and for the first time, depending on how you're looking at it. We are seeking preliminary and final major site plan and variance approval for the development of a 43-acre property located at 717 Route 173, which is identified as Block 31, Lot 12, and located within the township's research office and manufacturing zone. The site is currently vacant except for a single-family dwelling, which is proposed to be removed. Our professionals will discuss in great detail all of the intricacies of this application. But as a brief overview, we are seeking to construct 185,000 square foot light industrial building with associated parking and infrastructure that will support the proposed development. The Township Committee, as I'm sure you are aware, has recently revised the ROM zoning ordinance to restrict the uses that are permitted on this in the zone and on this site. In doing so, this board has reviewed those changes prior to their adoption and implementation, and both the town and this board have determined that the most ideal use for this site includes light industrial use. The stated purpose of the ROM zone pursuant to the enacting ordinance is to encourage high quality development in the zone, which is what we are proposing as part of this
And
application.
what is that ordinance section that has that purpose?
I did not cite that, but I can get that for you very shortly. I have it in my bag of
Tricks.
tricks, correct.
Okay.
The ordinance itself defines light industrial use, and I'll get that cite for you as well. As, and I'm gonna paraphrase it because it's lengthy, the making of goods by hand or by machine through mechanical or chemical
Go
transformation.
slower for the court reporter.
I'll start over. The making of goods by hand or by machine through mechanical or chemical transformation of materials or substances into new products, including machining, casting and molding, joining and shearing and forming goods that are intended to be sold to customers upon completion. It goes on and prohibits any noxious chemicals or combustibles, etc. Now, in preparing this application, the applicant is well aware that the zoning requirements prohibit warehouse, major distribution centers, large fulfillment and distribution centers, last mile fulfillment centers, and certain percentages of flex space, all of which are no longer permitted in the ROM zone or at this site. Now, we also understand that this application has garnered a lot of attention by some residents of Greenwich, mostly by individuals that reside in Bloomsbury and other townships that are either close by and in some cases in Pennsylvania. I think as far as the Lehigh Valley, we've had people appear at the prior hearings to comment on this application. But I want to be very clear what we're seeking. We're seeking to develop a permitted use. And this board is required to review those general site plan requirements and the bulk variance considerations for this permitted use. For the benefit of the public and for the attorneys that are present for this matter. We are going to focus our application and our testimony and our presentation on the site plan and site development features for permitted use in accordance with municipal land use law and the site plan review criteria. As this board knows, I'm sure, and as Mr. Drill has advised in the past, a planning board, or in this case, a land use board acting as a planning board, does not have the discretion to deny a site plan based upon a use that is permitted by ordinance, but rather may impose reasonable conditions to any approval that it may grant. A planning board also shall not deny a site plan application due to any off-site conditions such as vehicular traffic, the vehicular intensity on adjoining roadways, or other off-site conditions, because this board and the township has already determined that such a permitted use and associated conditions are appropriate for this site. So with that in mind, we've already agreed in the past, and I'll state it again for the record, that we would agree to any condition, or I'm sorry, to a condition of any approval that once the site is ready, because we don't have a tenant, this is going to be built on spec. Once we have a tenant ready to occupy this building for light industrial use, we will come back before the board and present an application to ensure and have the board have the confidence that the end user will comply with the light industrial use and not any other use that may be, discussed or rumored among the public or in the newspaper. Right, this is going to be a light manufacturing use. At that point in time, we will invite all the public back to discuss all the intricacies of that particular tenant, including the amount of traffic, hours of operation, and all those other things to make sure that they comply with the ordinances of Greenwich. If any of the members of the public are interested in hearing those details, we're not going to present them because a lot of them we don't know at this point in time. Again, this is a spec building that complies with the ordinance. But we are going to make sure that at the appropriate time, we discuss it with the board and we get your sign off on it. I say this with the utmost respect for the board, but just to be able to streamline this application at this point going forward, because we've been here a few times in the past and we're trying to make sure that we don't waste time with cross-examination, direct testimony, or public participation to discuss the use of the building, because we're seeking only a permitted use. As for the bulk variances being sought, we understand that on paper, it appears to be a number of variances that we're seeking, but if you really delve into the requested relief, you'll know that it's more of a product of the site location and the existing conditions that are requiring some of these variances. When we filed this application, I don't even recall how long ago it was at this point in time, but at that point, we were seeking about 18 or 19 variances depending upon interpretation. At this point, we are now seeking about 8 variances, and 6 of which are related to the necessary access to the site, which if they weren't granted, would essentially landlock the property and zone it into inutility. So unless we are granted those particular variances, we would have no ability to access the site and develop it at all, because most of them are related to the access to the site, which is on Route 173 across from the Musconetcong River. So we intend to demonstrate that the couple of remaining variances we feel are de minimis, and we will provide a better alternative than what is actually permitted on the site. But we will address that in greater detail as our experts testify throughout the hearing.
Basically, for my purposes, what you're saying is the tentative plan is 6 of the variances are going to be C1 hardship and 2 of them are going to be C2 flexible Cs.
We could probably go both ways on both of them, on all of them. The hardship certainly is for the access.
Yeah, you said 6 of the 8 variances are access related. I assume that's a C1 hardship.
That's correct, yes.
What about the other 2?
I'll have our planner testify to that when it's time. I don't want to put words in his mouth and then have to
Yeah, take
get
them out.
called out for saying that I testified to something that
All
wasn't
right,
supposed to.
fine.
So with that said, I just want to go over, we did receive two.
Yeah, before you do that, I want
Yes,
to get, I know I see three attorneys out there. I want to get their appearances on the record and who they represent, because again, we're starting from scratch, so I want a nice
Yes.
clean record.
Absolutely.
Which of the three of you wants to go first to come on up? So these are attorneys representing objectors. So can you identify yourself for the record?
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Theodore Carroll. I'm an attorney in Flemington with the Gruenberg Law Office, representing Bloomsbury Borough as an objector.
Okay, now, you go by Ted or Theodore?
Ted,
And how do you spell your last name?
Carroll.
Okay. Bloomsbury Borough. Okay, next.
Good evening. My name is John Kaplan from Herald Law in Warren Township, New Jersey, on behalf of Skylands Preservation Alliance.
Skylands Preservation Alliance, and you also have Rob Simon from your office that also will occasionally be making an appearance, I
That's
assume?
correct.
And Mr. Carroll, you'll also have Mr. Gruenberg occasionally make an appearance from your office, correct?
That is correct.
And we have a new person with a new objector I see out there. Can you introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, my name is Kadion Whitby,
Okay, can you spell both?
K-A-Y, D as in David, E-O-N, W-H-I-D-B-E-E, Whitby.
Okay, and your firm?
I am not an attorney. I am the vice president of the Bloomsbury Borough School Board.
Oh, okay. So you're not an attorney, so, I take it back. You're obviously welcome, but you're not you're gonna,
Right.
at some point, you're gonna speak on behalf of the school board, I take it?
Yes.
And what about, cross-examination? Because what the MLUL says, I thought you were an attorney, my bad. The MLUL says in NJSA 40:55D-10, and I have to find the letter. I think it's D. Yes, D. The testimony of all witnesses relating to an application for development shall be taken under oath or affirmation. And the right of cross-examination shall be permitted to all interested parties through their attorneys, if represented, if not represented, subject to the discretion of the presiding officer. Let me ask you this. Do you plan on having an attorney represent the board here at all?
It depends. It all depends. So
So I don't know what to do.
Well, I'm not here to challenge her ability to speak on behalf
I know.
of the board.
I know she can speak on behalf of the board. I'm specifically asking, what's your position on whether or not she, as the president of the board, has the right to ask questions on behalf of the board, not herself?
Right, well, that's where she would need to be represented by an attorney pursuant to the municipal land use.
If the board wants to ask questions of witnesses, the board's gonna have to have an attorney here. If you want to ask questions of witnesses in your personal capacity, then you can ask them. So you'll have to decide what you want to do. All right, so for the record, he's not an attorney, my bad.
thank you.
Okay,
Again, yeah, and just to be clear, I don't want to limit or curtail any of the public participation. We're here to answer any questions and be as open and transparent as we possibly can. But again, it does require that you would the Board of Education would need to be represented by an attorney to be represented here. So,
you know, I like swearing in all the witnesses ahead of time, so do you want me to do that now?
I can do that now, yeah.
So how many of your witnesses do you have here tonight?
I don't know. I think maybe just the one for tonight.
Okay, so let's find anyone here as a witness on behalf of the applicant. One person, come on up. And again, I'm not trying to insult anyone. We know who you are because you were.
I understand.
Because we're starting from scratch, clean record. Can you identify yourself for the record?
Sure. For the record, my name is Jonathan Istrani. It's spelled Istrani. I'm a partner with Stonefield Engineering and Design located at 92 Park Avenue in Rutherford, New Jersey.
And you're a professional engineer, correct?
I am,
And you're the applicant's engineering expert,
yes,
okay?
in site engineering. We have a traffic expert as well.
Okay, so you are the applicant's site engineering expert. Now, the board has two new faces up here, one just temporary, nice face, but Kendra will be back. She will. And we have can you introduce yourself to the board and everybody?
Oh, good evening, board
This is Bryce's replacement.
and everyone. My name is Bob Monaco. I'm a professional engineer. And, I represent the, land use board.
But you're the board engineering expert, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Jim,
Yes, sir.
introduce yourself to
Good
everyone.
evening, everyone. Jim Kyle, with Kyle McManus Associates in Hopewell, New Jersey. Work with Kendra. She's on vacation this week, so I'm just filling in. She'll be back.
You're the board planning expert until Kendra gets back here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so one of them's already standing up. Can the other two stand up, please? Sure. Can everyone swear or affirm that the testimony you're gonna give in this application will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay,
Thank you. Just before we get started, I just wanted to state for the record that we are in receipt of two review memoranda. One is the October 2nd, 2025 KMA planning memo, which we received, I believe, on October 3rd. And the other is I don't have it with me, but UTRS engineering review memo. And that was prepared by, I believe, by Mr. Monaco himself and dated today. And we received that at about 5:30. I understand you're coming aboard, so I'm not saying that, just pointing it out. We didn't really have the chance to review it. We were riding,
and
On the
you
way over.
understand, and I wanna make the public understand, I think the board, I hope, understands that Bryce Good, the board's prior engineering expert, left his firm. And so that's why Bob Monaco is taking his place. So we're not gonna see Bryce again. He's off to bigger and better pastures apparently.
Bryce was a very, very nice guy, and he treated me with such respect, so I'm sure I'm gonna get the same from you. I'm sure you're gonna have only nice things to say about us.
And you obviously will not say that about me.
Well, we're starting over, John. We're starting over, okay? It's all fresh. So we have only good things from here.
I'll hold you to it.
My first witness is John Estrani, from Stonefield Engineering. He's been sworn. Mr. Estrani, can you please, for the board, state your educational background and some of your professional qualifications?
Sure. I hold a Bachelor's of Science from Drexel University in Civil Engineering. I am a duly licensed professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've been in the field of land development at this point, 16 years, give or take, working on private land use development and projects very similar to the one being presented before you here tonight.
Your licenses are current,
Yes, and in good standing,
and you've been accepted by many boards, including this board before?
including this board, yes.
Okay.
I accept. Hold it. Does anyone have any questions about his qualifications before he's accepted as a engineering expert? Just questions on his qualifications only. Come on up. If there's, just introduce yourself.
Oh, the microphone doesn't work, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna move it for you, but please just go ahead.
My name is Neil Moorcroft,
Can you spell that?
Neil Moorcroft, Freddie T for Thomas.
Okay, and you are a Greenwich Township resident?
Correct.
Okay. Questions on his qualifications? Go ahead.
Mr. Strange, are you experts at the geotechnical aspects?
I'm not a geotechnical expert, no. The applicant has a separate geotechnical engineering consultant.
Tell you what, are you proposing him as a civil engineering expert?
Yes.
Okay, so he's being proposed as a civil engineering expert.
But not a geotechnical expert?
No.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions on his qualifications? Do you accept him as a civil engineering expert?
Accept.
Okay,
Thank you. John, you've been here before, you've designed the site. If you can please walk us through the plan, hitting on some of the high notes,
Right.
some of the changes, and also some of the variances. And then I'll sort of get out of your way since I don't have a place to stand.
Sure. Before I get started, I do have some handouts both for the board, half size, and I have two easels, so with two different sets of the same exhibit. I can set them up so it's easier for the public.
hold on for 1 second.
Sure.
Are these, so these are exhibits that have not been submitted to the board at this time?
One of them it was the aerial exhibit from prior. Yeah,
We're starting from
Yeah.
scratch, so,
they're all new exhibits. Yes, there are three of them.
okay, and there's three separate exhibits.
Correct.
It's gonna be
Yes,
A1, A2, and A3, is that correct?
that is correct. Yes.
Now. These have not been submitted digitally to the board yet, is that correct? In this new, starting from scratch proceeding,
No.
okay, so, make yourself a note. That these have to be submitted to the board secretary digitally, so she can put them up on the website, so anyone can have easy access to them, and when they're put up there. It have more than the file name, say A1 and what it is, so let's see your first, I'd like the small ones to be entered as an exhibit and the large one to be demonstrative, just so we don't have to deal with the large one in the board file. So can I see a set of those three exhibits?
Sure. So unfortunately, the A1, which I would call the aerial exhibit, I don't have half size, but for A2, which is a colorized site rendering, and A3, which is, I'll call it a site buffer exhibit, I do have half size.
Can you show me the A1?
Sure. It would look very similar to the aerial map
Can
that's on
you
the
show,
shop.
can you show it to me? And also, just for next time, this is what we did last time, because we had this backup location. I'm hoping that when I ask you this question, you're gonna say yes. Did someone drop off some of these exhibits at the backup location?
No, but I do have a separate set of exhibits and easels to be located wherever it needs to be.
So one should be located down at the alternate site. One should be here and one should be at the alternate site.
Okay, I'm not familiar with where that location is.
Do you have, Mr. Lepard, do you have another person besides him here? You have a client representative or something?
I don't know who.
I can have one of my staff members.
Oh, so you have a staff member here?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so can someone give him an agenda? There's directions on the back how to get to the alternate site. Send your staff member down with one easel and a set of exhibits.
Here you go. Just watch the wires, please. It's on the back.
Okay, so. Let me mark these, hold on. Which one is getting marked A1?
The aerial exhibit.
So I am, oh, and you even have an exhibit block. I don't need to use stickers. Look at this. So this aerial exhibit is A1.
Correct.
Which one of these is A2, left or right?
Right.
Two and three. Now, I have dates. There are dates on them. That's all right. We don't need it. Okay, so for the record, A1 is titled Aerial Exhibit, prepared by Stonefield Engineering and Design, and it has a preparation date on it of February 13, 2025, correct? Correct.
Correct, yeah.
Exhibit A2. Titled Site Plan Rendering Exhibit. Prepared by Stonefield Engineering and Design, and it has preparation date of October 9, 2025. And exhibit A3 is titled Site Frontage Buffer Exhibit. Prepared by Stonefield Engineering and Design, and it has a preparation date of April 10, 2025. Now, I'm gonna give these to the board secretary. Why don't you hand those out to all the board members? And I just wanna mark this stuff down, my own notes, that I give it, mark next to the board secretary. Also, can anyone here control that air conditioning to put it on?
I didn't get that. I didn't get that. Those things.
I'm gonna give them to you. These are
Oh,
yours.
I thought they were yours.
No,
Okay.
these are yours. Ours are coming around. I'm gonna make sure I have the proper numbers.
Okay.
It's much cooler down at the rescue squad building.
That show.
I'll text them too.
Ah, you got him.
Wonderful.
You text them? Yeah.
He controls the air conditioning on his phone, it's just get thing cranking.
Um,
Okay. Keep on passing them this way. There's your set, A 123.
Thank you. This is for the file. And that's- They're coming.
They're coming along. We gotta. What do we have here? And
Well,
the witnesses or attorneys want to take off their jackets, feel free.
While the exhibits are being passed out, I do have an easel. Where should I set that up?
Here's fine. Oh, you might have to go back a little. Right over here. Then all the board members can see it, and all members of the public can see it.
So there's not extra copies of this?
That's right. There's no extra copies of A1.
Thank you.
They're gonna all be emailed in, including A2 and A3, but for now, they have one A1.
Still digging, still digging.
One A1 each. They get some blur here.
I like this color.
And one extra.
I got two. Just keeps on.
There we go. You hear it? Close the windows. The AC is on. Or leave the window open. Yeah.
Just please make sure you close it before you leave.
All right, okay. You need your. All right, go for it.
Okay, so good evening, members of the board and the public. To get started, I have exhibits A1 up on the easel. It is an aerial exhibit, sheet 1 of 1. Basically is an aerial image with the property site outlined in yellow, just to give you a frame of reference for the project site and the surroundings. The project site itself overall is about 43.4 acres. Of that 43.4 acres, approximately 24.7 acres is proposed to be disturbed as part of this project. I'll call it, I refer to this as a pork chop shaped parcel. To the north of the property, and north is to the top of the page for everyone's reference, is I-78 as well as its associated way stations. To the south of the property is Route 173 and the Musconetcong River beyond. And then to the east, immediately to the east, is a doggy daycare center, followed by Bloomsbury Road, which is a county roadway. And then to the west of the property is additional farmland, and then beyond that, a pharmaceutical use. So the existing site today is it's farmland. There's a farmhouse on it as well. There's several tree-lined areas outlining each of the farm fields. And in general, what the applicant is proposing to do within that roughly 24 acres of development is to propose a industrial building. And what I would like to do, I apologize, board planner, could you flip the board to exhibit A2?
Okay, this quick. Total acreage again,
Is the exact acreage is 43.36 acres,
and how many you say is gonna be disturbed?
24.68. So up on the easel right now is Exhibit A2, which is a colorized rendering. What this is this the colorized version of the site plan that was previously submitted to the board for this application. And what this is depicting, you can see located centrally on the board is a yellow rectangle. It's approximately 185,850 square foot light industrial facility. It's a single story building up to 45 feet tall. Around the facility, particularly the sides, the east, west, and then south is a parking lot for the facility. There's a total of 335 parking spaces proposed for the application. And then based on the municipal requirements, there are 335 parking spaces required. So 335 proposed, 335 required, and that is utilizing the EV credit for the EV parking that is being proposed.
Any mezzanines proposed in this building?
I would have to defer to the architect. There are office spaces that are delineated. The architect will testify after me. At some point.
185.
185
185,850 square feet is the
footprint,
footprint.
yes. So back to the parking. Of that 335 parking spaces, 8 of them will be ADA parking spaces, and of those 8 ADA parking spaces, 2 of them will be electric vehicle charging stations. There are also 36 other electric vehicle charging stations throughout the parking lot. And then there are also 35, what I refer to as van parking spaces. So instead of the standard 10 by 20 parking space, these parking spaces are a little bit bigger to accommodate a van. They're 10 by 25, so about 5 feet longer. All the parking space sizes, the drive aisles, they're all compliant per municipal code in terms of dimensioning and sizing. As part of the building itself, there will be proposed 32 loading docks in the rear of the building. There will also be 4 drive-in ramps entering that building, so it's for a vehicle to drive from that truck courtyard into the building if the tenant has a need for that. And then behind those loading docks, and again, in the rear of the building for everyone's reference is to the north, which is the top of the page, is 74 trailer spaces. In addition to the vehicle parking and loading docks, there's also a total of 42 bicycle spaces provided on the eastern and western side of the building along bicycle racks. Now, there is currently an existing farmhouse on the property. The applicant is proposing to remove that farmhouse and associated site improvements in order to revegetate that area and provide a continuous buffer along the site frontage. And then on the topic of the site frontage, there is a single point of access for the project. There's a full movement driveway. It's located in the bottom right of the Exhibit A2 or the southeast of the site. It is a full movement driveway on Route 173, which is under DOT jurisdiction. When I say full movement, I mean that a vehicle can make a right or a left to enter and exit. And the applicant has submitted an application to the DOT. That application is pending. We've been going back and forth with them on the left turn lane and a few other items for that driveway geometry. And certainly as we proceed with the DOT, we will keep the board apprised of that status. And you will hear more about the driveway circulation and DOT status from my colleague, our professional traffic engineer, who will be testifying after me. Now, in terms of just general site circulation, just for everyone's reference, our traffic engineer will go into a lot more detail than I will, but as I mentioned before, there in the southeast corner of the property or the bottom right of the exhibit, there's a driveway. Any vehicle, whether it is a vehicle accessing the site, heads north, and then it heads behind the rear of the building, at which point it can either access the truck courtyard or the parking lot if it's a standard vehicle. So that driveway is shared between all vehicles. In terms of signage for the facility, in terms of building mounted signage, the applicant, because a tenant is still up in the air, as mentioned by our attorney, we're not proposing any building mounted signage currently. We are stating that if there was signage, the tenant would comply, and if they wouldn't, they would come back before this board as part of a separate application for any signage that deviates from.
Does signage I'm asking to new guy. I'm the signage needs site plan approval. If the signage is not proposed and approved by the board during the site plan application, the signage under the Greenwich Township ordinance require site plan approval is my question, and maybe you could give it a stab and let me know.
No, I don't know, but we've agreed to come back anyway, so we can't occupy the building
Okay,
until we have somebody come here and
so signage will be part of that.
if it's required.
Well, if you don't know,
Oh, we're not asking for any here, is the point. We're asking for a monument sign.
I'm asking the two board professionals if they know
Right,
if site plan is required or not, so we're gonna take a look at it.
Yeah.
I'm going for it.
So, putting building signage aside, there is a single monument sign proposed. It is a 100 square foot sign that is located next to the driveway, again, in the southeast corner of the site or the bottom right of the page. That monument sign is proposed to comply with all municipal signage ordinance requirements in terms of setback, size, height, location, etc. Now, just for the board and the public's reference in terms of this grading and topography for the site. So the roadway, Route 120 or 173, I should say. I'm gonna use a reference point. It's about elevation 275. The building itself is proposed to be at 320. The reason the building is elevated is that the site grade, as you go further north from Route 173, and you head north towards Route 78 along the property, the grade does rise as you head further north. So what the applicant is proposing to do is basically split the difference, propose their building in the middle there, provide a little bit of fill in the front and a little bit of cut in the back to balance the earthwork for the facility. There are a few retaining walls proposed around the site. The retaining walls, compared to previous submissions, have been reduced in scale. There is a single retaining wall proposed in the front of the site. The average height of that is somewhere between 7 and 8 feet. The max height is 8, and it gets down to about 2 feet at its smallest height. So it's a relatively small wall compared to what it was previously. And that wall is being screened with additional landscaping, which I will get into momentarily. There is also a few other retaining walls in the rear of the site. Those walls are taller in the range of 20 to 30 feet, but those walls are going to be covered up either by the building or they won't be facing Route 173. They'll either be facing the east or to the north.
Okay, so it appears that for signs, if they comply, the sign permit only, it's not site plan approval, and that is ordinance section 16-11.13. No, 12. 12. Well, got it.
11.12.
Yes. So the only time these signs would have to come back to the board is if they required relief, like a variance or something.
Correct. Okay, moving on to drainage and stormwater management. Because of the scale of the project is classified under both the township ordinance and the DEP as what's called a major development. And that project is subject to green infrastructure requirements and then regulations regarding stormwater quantity, quality, and recharge. Now, under current conditions, the entire farm field, as I mentioned before, drains from the north to the south. So everything is draining towards Route 173 and the waterway beyond. There are 3 culverts located along the site frontage that pick up drainage from the farm field and discharge it into the waterway. Those culverts are not proposed to be altered or changed, and we're not proposing any new outfalls into the waterway. We're going to use the existing 3 culverts as they are today, maintaining that existing drainage pattern. Now, because of the scale of the development, the applicant is proposing a series of what I call BMPs or best management practices. They're stormwater facilities that provide green infrastructure for the site. There are a total of 8 of them around the site perimeter. There are 4, what I'm going to refer to as small scale bioretention basins that don't have an infiltration capacity. A bioretention basin is a fancy word for a rain garden. It is basically a depression that's vegetated. Water will filter through the subsoil and either infiltrate into the ground or go into an under drain system where that water will be carried off site. So there are 4 of those proposed throughout the site. There are also 3 permeable pavement areas located within the standard vehicle lot on the west, south, and east of the property. For everyone's reference, that's to the left, right, and bottom of the building. And there's also one large-scale bioretention facility that is located in front of that parking facility between the parking lot and Route 173. It's a large-scale facility that manages the drainage from the roof before discharging off-site.
That's the yellow circle on exhibit A2.
No, that yellow circle is a water tower, potential water tower.
Where is that large?
It's located between the parking lot and Route 173. You'll see a call out and a depression for it. It's like a very long sliver.
Ah, got it. Thank you.
So those 8 stormwater facilities and also what I refer to as an MTD, which is a manufactured treatment unit, which is essentially a manufactured prefabricated pre-pit unit to provide water quality. Those features provided on this site allow this site to comply with all the regulations associated with a major development related to again, runoff quantity, runoff quality, groundwater recharge, and just to have the components of green infrastructure utilized on the property. Now, in addition to that, we're also using, again, I use a lot of acronyms, LID, like low impact development techniques. So the project site is a farm, and for the areas that are not going to be utilized by the development, those farm fields will be returned to a native meadow condition. They will be seeded, some of them will be planted, particularly the ones in the frontage, and returned to essentially just open space. Where, you know, we think that would be a benefit. And then to quantify that, to give the board some reference. It's approximately 17.06 acres of farmland overall that will be revegetated and returned to a native meadow or wooded condition.
Is that 17.06 acres worth of farmland part of the 24.68 acres disturbed?
Part of it is, yes.
Part of it's also in that 43.36?
Correct, to the north of the development. So there's like the property comes to a tip. So basically on the top side of this page where it's all green, that farmland will be returned to a native meadow state.
Is there some plan that shows that in the plan?
We have a landscape plan that depicts that, that was previously submitted to the board.
L1,
I think it has a different designation. Sheet C13 of the site plan set. And C12 or C14.
okay. Okay. I see, one's, I was looking at the DOT. Oh, okay.
So I'll get into landscaping in a little bit more detail. But moving on to utilities, so all utilities will be provided, all utilities except for sanitary service are provided through public mains located within Route 173. The applicant has obtained will-serve letters from all the applicable utility companies related to service. And that includes JCP&L, Elizabethtown Gas, Comcast, and Aqua New Jersey. Should be noted that Aqua New Jersey has a larger water main located further down near Church Street to the west of the property. It has already been discussed with Aqua NJ that the applicant will be extending that water main down Route 173 to provide water service to the property.
And that water, I assume, is going into the tank and then from the tank to the building?
So until the water main is further designed and some hydrant flow tests are run, we are showing a pump house and a water tower. Conceptually, it's unclear if that will be required, but just based on the difference in topography, the grade of the building, we're anticipating that.
So you're seeking approval for it, you might not need to use it, but you're seeking an approval for it
Correct.
in case you need it.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then in terms of sanitary, there is an on-site septic system that will be proposed and permitted both through the county and the DEP. That septic facility is located on the west side of the page, or sorry, to the west or the left side of the page. It is an underground facility, that's detailed further on our utility plan. But again, that will be designed by the applicant's septic consultant and permitted through the appropriate authorities. Now, in terms of lighting for the facility, it's a series of LED fixtures, both pole and building mounted. There are 42 pole mounted fixtures, 25 feet tall, and 25 building mounted fixtures, again, same height. The lights, as indicated both per code and on our plans, the lights will be turned off between 11 PM and 6 AM or within 1 hour of close of business, whichever comes first. Except for the fixtures that are required and to be coordinated with the township's police department to be left on for security purposes.
And that is referencing ordinance section what?
Do not have the ordinance section offhand here.
And another one for the applicant's attorney to supply. You said 25 building mounted fixtures, how many?
42 pole mounted fixtures,
And you said those were how high?
25 feet. So the lighting quantity, lighting type, mounting height, it all complies with municipal code for lighting. There's no lighting spillover proposed on the adjacent properties as part of this lighting design. I'll get into it in a little bit more detail, but I usually would say the lighting is fully compliant. There is one variance that was noted, and that's for the average light level across the parking lot. The municipal requirement is 1/2 foot candle, where the applicant is proposing 0.72 foot candles. Again, the way that I like to describe this is twofold. One, the way that the ordinance is written is that you need to meet exactly 0.5 foot candles. So if you're 0.49 or 0.51, you would need a variance. And because lighting is fluid, it's very hard to hit the exact number. I will also say that for the board's reference and the public's reference, I know I'm using a term foot candle. It's basically the illumination level. If you were to light a candle on the ground, what the illumination is within 1 foot of that candle.
And that ordinance section is 16-12B2B, figure 1.
So what the applicant is requesting is basically the difference between the illumination of essentially 1/2 a candle or 3/4 of a candle. In terms of the average illumination on site, we believe that's, suitable, one, for the facility and de minimis in terms of the difference in illumination levels.
Again, give me,
Sure.
the variance is being sought, I understand, from that ordinance section. What's the light level proposed?
0.72 foot candles.
And you're saying it shall not, the ordinance requirement says it can't exceed 0.5.
Or be below. It just says the average is 0.5.
Real quick, Mr. Drill. The ordinance section regarding the timing of the light.
Yes.
It is section 16-11.9 F. Which states that they shall not be illuminated between the hours of 10 PM and 7 AM.
Okay, and his proposal is to have them off.
Basically, off per code, I believe there's a qualifier that says the time frame is this, or within 1 hour of the business close.
Just huddle up for a minute, because he said 11 PM to 6 AM, that's not what the ordinance says.
Are you looking at 11.9, you said?
Yes.
16-11.9.
Yeah, that's sign illumination.
Oh, okay.
Not the lighting standards.
Well, you have the computer, I'm trying to do it by the old fashioned way, so if you could point me to it, that would help.
Well, I'll try, but I don't.
Or I can just get back to Mr. Drill with the citation once I return to my my hub.
Yes.
To make it easier that way.
Which one's not right?
Me,
The one he said is not right, so we're gonna ignore what he said.
yeah, sorry about that.
Well, keep on going until you find it.
Yeah.
Or send something in.
If you could just comment on the, there's gonna be no spillover, will there be any spillover of the lighting of the foot candles?
So, yeah, so I mentioned previously that there's gonna be no spillover on the adjoining property line as part of this lighting design, which again is in compliance with the municipal code. Now, in terms of landscaping, the applicant has proposed what I consider a very robust landscaping design. It's based on really three key parameters that they were looking to achieve. One is to buffer the project site from Route 173 and the adjoining lot lines. The second step is to revegetate the existing farmland that's not going to be utilized as part of the project. And then the final item is this internal parking lot landscaping. So what I mean by robust is that the applicant is basically proposing 1,128 trees to be planted as part of this application. 1,128 trees. And that's inclusive of 319 deciduous or shade trees and 809 evergreen trees.
What was that last number? Sorry.
809 evergreen trees.
Okay.
So the majority of these plantings are located between the parking lot, which is located to the south of the building or the bottom of the page, and Route 173. The applicant is fully compliant with the municipal landscape ordinance in terms of the buffer requirements around the perimeter of the site and along the site frontage. So in addition to the municipally required landscape buffers, the applicant has then gone and exceeded that by planting additional landscaping between the building and the roadway, in addition to revegetating those farm fields. Now, in terms of what I'll call environmental land use items for the site, to note, the applicant obtained what is called an LOI or a letter of interpretation from the DEP in 2024 that was previously submitted to the board, stating that there are no wetlands or transition areas on the project site. That LOI is still valid.
Right, was that submitted as part of this submission, or was that submitted last time?
It was submitted last time.
Okay, submitted this time. And a digital copy for the website.
Yes. And then additionally, there was what I call an NHD letter, which is a National Heritage Database letter. That letter is also from the state, just a different agency that outlines the endangered and threatened species on site and in the vicinity. And again, that letter is dated from 2024, and it states that there are no endangered or threatened species on the project site.
And again, that letter,
Will be submitted and to be uploaded to the town website again. Now, the waterway to the south of the property, the Musconetcong River, is what is considered a C1 waterway, a Category 1 waterway. And what that means in the eyes of the state is that there is a 300-foot, what I call a riparian zone, but essentially you could refer to it as a stream buffer, a 300-foot stream buffer. That extends across Route 173 into the project site. The township has a similar buffer in their own code of 250 feet, where the DEP has 300 feet. Now, that restricts activities located within that buffer. The applicant is seeking a submission to the DEP for all land use related permits for this development. The activities proposed within that stream buffer area, as well as what I call a flood hazard area, which is basically the 100-year floodplain plus an additional 25%. Again, that's a regulatory area that the DEP defines. Those two areas encroach into the site frontage, not within the site development proper. It doesn't extend into the parking lot or the other developed features, but it does extend into the farm field and into the farmhouse area. The applicant is proposing driveway and stormwater facilities and a monument sign within those areas. They will be permitted as part of the DEP. And similar to the DOT status, we will keep the township apprised of how that is going.
so what are the specific NJDEP permits that are required?
What this project will require, and it is outlined also on, I believe, sheet C1, our cover sheet, is what is called a flood hazard area, or FHA verification. And what that does is that verifies the riparian zone and flood hazard area limits on the project site. And then they also need a flood hazard area individual permit for the proposed development activities. So that's related to one section of code, which I do know is NJAC Administrative Code 713. And that is related to streams, flood hazard area, and things of that like. So that will be required as part of this application. those two permits.
Any other NJDEP permits?
Not related to land use, as I mentioned before, they will need to obtain a permit for the septic facility, both in terms of the design of the septic as well as the treatment work.
That's not from the DEP, right?
It is technically, it's a different department of the DEP. It's not from the land use
Okay,
department.
which one is that?
I believe they moved the department for that recently.
And what's the permit called?
Oh, the septic permit, it's Najipti's permit, NJP DES,
NJDES.
PDES, New Jersey Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. And in addition to that, they also need a permit called a TWA, which is a Treatment Works Approval. And those both, they're just two different sides of the septic permitting. One is for design, one is for construction.
If it's over 2,000 gallons potentially.
So TWA is only if your septic is taking more than 2,000 gallons, correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, so what do you anticipate the size of the septic based on what?
The septic is a size based on the use, which I believe is based on employees. I want to say that we have utility or sewer and water calculations on our utility plan that was submitted. We'll scroll to it. Does not look like it is on here, but the idea is that the facility, the type of permit that we're seeking, it is over 2,000 gallons, but it's under 8,000. But because it's a septic facility, it requires a treatment works approval for this. Not the septic engineer expert, unfortunately, but that is my understanding of it. Okay, so moving on from the NJDEP items, there is one last exhibit that I want to present just because it was mentioned before about some of the zoning relief related to what I call the buffers in the site frontage. So if possible, yes, want to bring up exhibit A3, which I believe is called the site frontage buffer exhibit.
Yep. Wait, these are demonstrative exhibits and you're actually taking with you. Right. Get small and large. Right.
So this is a color exhibit that I think does a good job depicting the types of activity located within the two municipal, what I call buffers. One of them is a 250 edge of river setback, which is similar to that riparian zone stream buffer from the DEP, as well as a 100-foot limit of disturbance buffer, which is outlined in the township's code for transition area or transition buffers. So the reason I put this exhibit together is to kind of just put into scale the type of activities that we're proposing within that buffer. So to start off with, I'm going to talk about
Just want to, again, clarify, and this is all under the jurisdiction of the NJDEP.
for this specific exhibit, it actually outlines the municipal requirements for your 250-foot setback and 100-foot.
So this is the municipal requirements on this exhibit, not the NJDEP.
Correct, yes. So, for everyone's reference, you can see a few different color hatches, to the south of the building or to the bottom of the page on this exhibit. And to give it some reference, I'm going to talk about the proposed site improvements within that buffer. So as mentioned by our attorney previously, we do have a site driveway. That is the red color hatch. You see closer to the right of the page or to the east. Of the total buffer area that is proposed, the driveway takes up approximately 3.7% of that buffer. Additionally, the orange areas adjacent to the driveway are what I call other site improvements. And it is the monument sign, grading areas, and then the stormwater basin for the driveway.
Pat, stand up to that side to look at it. There you go. It does, Pat, don't say anything. Just stand up to the side, look at it. You're fine. You can take a picture of it too, but don't block anyone else's view.
Those
The only
non-driveway,
reason I know him by his first name is because we've been here on other things before. And I'm saying that in a friendly way, as you know. Okay.
so as I mentioned, of the total area that's in the buffer, it's 3.65 acres. And the applicant is proposing to disturb 14.6% of that total buffer area for their site improvements. That's the monument sign, that's the driveway, that's the stormwater management. And again, the driveway is
Give me the figure again, 3.65 acres are in the buffer and you're proposing to disturb what?
0.43 acres or 14.6%.
How many
And that
acres
is
is
to
that
be-
again? I'm sorry.
So the
The
3.65
I got
acres are
that.
in the buffer and they're proposing to disturb 0.43 acres, which is 14.6% of the buffer. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Okay, thank you.
So when I say propose to disturb, I mean for the permanent site improvements, again, that's the driveway, the monument sign, and the stormwater management facilities. Now, in addition to those areas, there are existing wooded areas to be protected and to remain. Those are the blue shaded areas along the site frontage. The existing wooded area to remain is approximately 21.4% of that total buffer area, or 0.78 acres within that buffer area.
So just again to clarify, which colors are the disturbance? The orange and the
Red.
red? Okay, and now you're talking about blue, which is the existing mature vegetation to remain?
Yes. So I've outlined the proposed site improvement disturbance. I've outlined the existing woods to remain. The remaining two hatches, one is green and one is purple. The green one is farmland to be revegetated into native meadow condition or woods, as I mentioned earlier. That area within the buffer, combined with the purple area, which is the current farmhouse and surrounding lawn area. The combined area of that is 64.1% of that total buffer. So the reason I wanted to have this exhibit up here is, and again, I know I put a lot of numbers out there on the record, but the total buffer area is 3.65 acres. The applicant's site improvements, the driveway, the monument sign, and the basin are 14.6% of that total area. The area to be revegetated, either from farmland or the lawn and existing farmhouse area, that's 64% of the buffer that is going to be revegetated as part of this application. And as I mentioned before, outside of this buffer area, there's overall across the site, approximately 17 acres of farmland that is going to be restored to a native condition because it will no longer be utilized as a farm. Now, as mentioned by our attorney, in terms of zoning relief for the application, I want to make a joke about maybe going back and forth in prior applications over zoning relief, but I think we got it right on the first go, supposedly in this application. There are a total of 8 variances and 1 design waiver. The only
8
qualifier
variances and 1
design,
exception.
1 exception, yes. The only note that I have here is that in the board planner's letter, they had an item for section, actually I have to go here, section 16-18A.6, parentheses 1.4, where they note that the applicant has revised the parking layout, and I believe this variance is no longer applicable. We also agree. I just wanted to confirm that with the board. And if that is the case, then again, the applicant is seeking 8 variances and 1 design exception.
The 8 variances in Kendra's report would be section 2.2, starting on page 2. There are 4 variances, which she lays out under the heading variances requested from transition buffer requirements.
Correct.
And then there are 3 variances listed under section B, variances requested for parking and circulation layout. So that's 7. Where is number?
There's section 2.3, ROM, general zoning and design requirements, where she lists the remainder. So the driveway width,
2.13.
2.3.
And C.
A, B, and C.
Ah, Caesar design, the exception. Okay, got it.
So before I talk about some of the zoning relief sought as part of this application, I just wanted to go over the bulk standards for this project and for the zone. Should be noted that there are no bulk variances sought as part of this application. And what I mean for that. for the
Three
public-
variances, right? I wasn't gonna say anything to it, you get pissed. But, right, there's no bulk variances, there's C variance.
Correct, yes. And what I mean, for that, for the public's reference is that, in the zone, or really any zone, of municipality can find things like building coverage, impervious coverage, lot size, lot width, building setbacks. Those are considered, what I call bulk variances. And in terms of that, this application is seeking no zoning relief. The application, lot size is double the minimum lot area. The project site is 3 times wider than the minimum lot width. The building is set back twice the distance than required from Route 173. And the building is set back 3 times the distance from the rear yard setback along Route 78. The building complies in terms of building height, in terms of floor area ratio, and it is 6.5 acres under the allowable lot coverage. And lot coverage being parking lot, building, impervious surfaces. So we're 6.5 acres under the allowable amount for this project. Now, in terms of the zoning relief that is sought, we take no exception to the summary that the board planner has put together. The way that they're categorized, and there are 4 of them under the category, Mr. Drill, that you referred to as transition buffer requirements in their letter. 3 of those variances are directly related to what our attorney previously alluded to, in that there are buffers along Route 173 and along the waterway that encroach into our site frontage. Unfortunately, for our site to have a driveway, the only way to get access is to Route 173. So we need to have a driveway that connects, so it has to go through.
Identify which 3 of the 4 would those be?
It is section 16-18A.6, subsection S.1, A, B, and C.
Okay.
And as I mentioned before, to go into detail, subsection A is related to not having any structures or driveways permitted within 100 feet of a property line that abuts a street from a residential zone. And our site abuts a residential zone all along the site frontage, so that buffer extends the full width. We need a driveway, so we have to cross the buffer at some point. The next item, subsection B, is the limit of disturbance in existing vegetation. Again, the idea and the thought behind the 100-foot disturbance buffer is that you maintain the existing wood line here. Again, due to the driveway, we have to clear some of that mature woods to make way for the driveway. It should be noted, as I testified to in regards to landscaping and revegetation of the farm field and the farmhouse, the applicant is proposing a lot more trees than they are removing as part of this application. And particularly within that buffer area itself. And then the final subsection C is clearing and grading, where again, it states that we should not do any clearing, grading, earthwork activities within that 100-foot buffer. And again, we have a driveway there, so unavoidable to grade in that area. Now, the 4th transition buffer requirement, and this is subsection S.2, talks about parking areas in a yard abutting a residential zone. And what we've had discussions with on the board planner is that between the face of the building and Route 173, because it faces a residential zone, and the residential zone in question is not in Bloomsbury, but the strip of land between Route 173 and the waterway, that you should have no parking areas between there. Unfortunately, due to the layout of the building and the fact that there is truck access and a truck courtyard in the rear, the offices are located in front. The applicant is still proposing a parking lot, a small one, along the building frontage there. I will note, if I can make reference to prior submissions, previously the applicant had a much larger parking lot that has since been pared down, and that parking has been pushed out to the sides of the building. And there was also a truck circulation lane along the front of that building, along with a large retaining wall that has also been removed. So now the only improvements located in the front of the building is just that single drive aisle with parking.
So is this a situation where the C1, because you're gonna explain why it can't be in the rear, or is this a C2? Because it's better planning to have it in the front?
I'm simply stating the variance for the record. I defer to our planner.
Smart move.
Moving on to what is categorized as parking and circulation layout,
Wait,
sorry,
wait a minute.
yes.
You're the engineer. Can this be located in the rear to get rid of that variance?
From an operational standpoint, all the offices, activity, employees, the customers, or whoever, they enter through the front face of the building. The rear of the building is where you have your deliveries and, other truck activity. To have that not pedestrian, but essentially like regular traffic and employees commingling with the truck courtyard is not
Yeah.
advisable.
Would you say to improve the health and safety of the operations, of the site, to have it located the way it's located?
I'm not a planner, but yes, you could use those terms.
Right, so leave it to the planner, but it sounds like what you're saying, it's gonna be a C2 argument because it's safety, but you'll leave it to your planner.
Yes. So if we're good with that, I will move on to the parking and circulation.
Right, so right before you move to parking and circulation. In the very beginning, you were talking about the number of parking spaces. And you said 335 parking spaces. What's the 335 parking spaces? What's the calculation? You said pursuant that the ordinance requires 335 and you're proposing 335. So just give me the basis of the calculation of 335.
Sure. Gonna go to our site plan, sheet C5, the overall site plan, which has the parking calculations. The municipal parking requirements.
I'm doing this to keep things in order and get the thing clarified and get this back straight.
I appreciate that.
Sure, so under code section 16-10.2 for industrial establishments, it's the greater of one space for each employee, on the work shift, or one space per 500 square feet of gross floor area, whichever is greater. In this case, based on the anticipated tenants for the building, the greater of those two calculations is based on square footage, which yields a parking requirement of 372 parking spaces. But then when you add in the electric vehicle parking credit, that brings the requirement down to 335 parking spaces, which is what the applicant has proposed.
So it's 372 and then the EV credits
Correct.
is what makes it, according to you, 335. And I'm just gonna ask the board engineer, you don't have to comment on it tonight if you don't want. If you want, you can, but I just want to get this verified that you agree with their calculation, or if you disagree, the basis for the disagreement.
Yeah, so based on what you said, if it's 185,850 square feet. And there's one parking space per employee. And you said 500 square foot for parking.
Yeah,
One
it's
space
either one per employee or one space per 500 square feet of gross floor area.
Hold on, let me,
plus 10%, right?
what ordinance section is it? Right here?
He mentioned it, it was 16. 1610.
We're 16 and 2. So you guys talk about it. All right.
Okay. So. If you don't mind, can you walk me through how you came out with that calculation?
Yeah, sure. I only have a half-size copy, so it's a little blurry.
No, I know, that's why I'm
What's
asking, because I can't read it either.
The total floor area. Yeah, if you have it, that would be great. So the building square footage is 185,850
And
square
that
feet.
assumes that there's no mezzanine. Because if you had a mezzanine, that would increase that, because the 185 and change is
Just the
the
footprint.
footprint.
Yes,
So we're assuming that this is no mezzanine, correct?
correct, yes. And then, so, our attorney has the table here under section 16 dash 10.2, so. Industrial establishments, manufacturing, that one. Okay, so. Yeah, so there is a section that says, industrial establishments, and then the parking requirement for that is, quote, see manufacturing. When you go to manufacturing establishments, it says one space for each employee, maximum work shift, or one space for each 500 square feet of gross floor area, whichever is greater.
16-10.2.
All right, so if I calculate, 185,850 divide by 500,
Yes. So we believe it comes out to 371.7 parking spaces, you round up
Round up
to
to
372.
okay, just for the record, if you don't mind, it says industrial equipment sales and service. E, the E would be, no, it's even. Industrial. I'm just double checking, this one.
Yeah.
Why didn't you use, 300 instead of 500?
So sorry, we're going through it. The table just says the letter E. I assume it stands for.
No, you said industrial establishments and it says C manufacturing,
Correct, yes,
right, which is 500 square feet or one per employee, not.
correct,
Right.
yes.
So C manufacturing.
Right, so, but what is? Oh, I see.
Equipment sales and service would be a different use.
Yeah, we're
That's
not
what this
proposing
is.
that use. for-
Yeah.
Is that the reason why you didn't use it?
Yes. All right, and just for the record, explain how the EV credit thing works. It goes from 372 to 335.
Sure. So in the state of New Jersey, there was a statute that was passed that states for every electric vehicle space, whether it is proposed on day one or quote unquote make ready, which is that the infrastructure is installed for it to be an electric vehicle space. For every one of those spaces, so depends on how you want it. It's either counts, that space either counts as 2 parking spaces or counts as a credit of 1 additional parking space. So in this case, the applicant is proposing 38 electric vehicle spaces as part of this application. There is a caveat to the credit that you can take, which is the 10%. So you look at your parking requirement, which in this case is 372. And we're only allowed to take a maximum credit of 10% of that, which again is 37 spaces. So when you do the math there,
372 minus
37.
That gets you to 335.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so I believe I left off on parking and circulation zoning relief.
Yep.
The first item, I would really consider parking and circulation. I'd probably put it under the same buffer as the other ones, but basically section 16-4.16 is the stream corridor protection, which I alluded to. It's a 250-foot buffer from the edge of the adjacent waterway. The applicant is proposing driveway, stormwater facilities, monument signs. It's a very similar variance to the disturbance transition area variances that we covered. It's just a separate distance. Instead of 100 feet, it's 250.
Right, but the parking deviation, if the parking in the yard abutting residential zone is a C2, I would assume, but wait for your planner, that the stream corridor protection variance for parking would be a C2, but that's for your planner.
Yeah, there's no parking within that buffer, only the driveway and the stormwater basin and the monument sign.
So what are the exact improvements that are being put in that violate that buffer? We go back to A3, you're telling me?
Yes, so look at it this way, there are 2 buffers to look at from a zoning standpoint. The first one is a 100-foot setback from front lot line for the limit of disturbance. Basically, no improvements per code, no grading, no permanent improvements, can't remove woods in that buffer area. Then there is a separate 250-foot offset, not from the front property line, but from the edge of the waterway of the river across the street. That also encroaches into the site. When you look at Exhibit A3, it's basically the hatching just consolidates those two buffers together. You can actually see both of them delineated as setback lines there and called out. So that's the,
Which of the colors, I know it's gonna be orange and red.
yes.
What other colors violate the 250-foot setback that you need relief from? Is it only orange and red?
It's only orange and red.
Okay, so it's a C1 argument then, is that right?
Yeah. What about the purple, John?
Purple and faded in these?
Purple is basically the removal of the farmhouse and the associated driveway and other improvements that would then be restored. So it's not proposed improvements, but demolition activities in that area is to be restored to a native condition.
But technically, it's a disturbance.
Yes.
Wait for the plan.
So outside of that stream corridor protection, zoning relief item, there are two more. Or I should say just one more, because B3 has been removed. So B2, which is section 16-10.4N, is right-of-way improvements. There's a requirement in the municipal code that along the frontage of your project, you should be providing curbs, sidewalk, shade trees, et cetera, essentially what I call streetscaping along your frontage. Route 173 is under the jurisdiction of the DOT. There's currently no curbing, sidewalk. There are trees out there. They're not in the public right of way. They're on our property. That will generally be maintained. The idea here is the applicant is only proposing what the DOT is looking for. They don't have any curbing out there. We are proposing guide rail in the current layout. So there will be no sidewalk, or curbing proposed along that strip.
We're waiting for the planner on that one. For C1 or C2. Okay.
And then moving on to the last batch.
But we're crossing out B3 because Kendra said the applicant provides the parking layout and she believes the variance is no longer applicable. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. Moving on to section 2.3, which is the ROM general zoning and design requirements.
You already talked about lighting.
Yes, so I've talked about lighting. The next two, one of which is a zoning relief item, a variance, and that is for having,
Accessory structure in the frontage.
yes. So we have a monument sign located within the, frontage buffer, 50-foot frontage buffer. As mentioned before, you know, it's this overlapping buffers. I will note that per municipal code, the monument sign minimum setback is 30 feet. We are proposing more than that, so there's some bit of
It's gonna be a
conflicting
C2 argument, I assume, because if you put it outside the 250-foot thing, no one could see. it.
wayfinding, yes.
Okay, I get it.
And then the final item is a design exception related to the maximum driveway width, where for an industrial use, it's 35 in the town. The applicant is proposing 45. This combination of based on discussions with the DOT and truck circulation maneuvers to get in and out of the site. We believe 45 feet is more suitable for those vehicles, and we will have our traffic engineer testify to that a little bit more. Now, I unfortunately I haven't reviewed Mr. Monaco's engineering review letter. I did have a chance to review the board planner's letter and their comments. I just have a couple items I just want to state in reference to those comments. I'm going to start with comment A1.
What page? Yeah. Okay, so section 4, general site plan comments you're talking about.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So here, the board planner is just talking about additional trees. So they're talking about the elevation of the building relative to the roadway. They say that it's situated approximately 100 feet higher than the roadway. I just want to clarify, based on our survey and our proposed grading plan, the finished floor of that building is 45 feet above the roadway, not 100 feet.
What's the height of the building above the roadway?
Elevation 320, and the road is elevation 275,
So that, what's the difference?
45 feet.
But the building's 45 feet tall, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So
So really, it's 90
It's
feet.
90.
yes, to the roof line,
100
it's
is
90
right,
feet.
but
should be 90.
90. I think that was the point she was trying to make.
Okay, the way that it was commented, it said situated, which means the building is sitting at.
Okay, how about if we change it to the proposed building height will be approximately 90 feet in elevation higher than the Route 173 road bed elevation. Would that be a correct statement?
Yes. So as I testified too about the landscaping, the applicant is proposing a substantial number of trees between the building and the roadway. This is in addition to the required frontage buffer. They're planting essentially the farm field that lies between the building and the roadway. So they are planting a few of those trees. There are a few comments related to those trees, which I believe she goes on to talk about in comment A2, which.
Let's keep with A1. So are you, is the applicant disagreeing that she's suggesting that additional tree plantings are recommended in the area of disturbance adjacent to Route 173 to provide an additional layer of screening? Does the applicant agree with that or not? If you agree with it, then I would just make it, if the board's gonna approve it, it would be.
The applicant's stance is that the tree plantings have already been provided in this application. The density of tree plantings in that farmland are really about as dense as we can get for shade trees. You can't just keep planting them closer and closer. The viability of the
The
tree.
applicant disagrees with that, so that's gonna remain an open item.
Correct. We have planted a substantial amount of trees in that area already.
Okay, so if you disagree with A1, go to A2.
A2, simply just want to state that the architect will provide those documents.
The architect's gonna provide these documents prior to the board deliberation and vote on the application. This is not a condition of approval.
Correct, yes. They were provided prior to their testimony.
Okay, A3.
A3 is a similar comment really to A1.
Okay, read the first sentence. Is that true or false? The applicant reduced the quantity of tree plantings on site with the revised plan.
That is correct.
They went from what to what?
Well, hold on a second. Let me just clarify, and that's going to be the clarifying question, John, from the initial submission.
No, from the,
Various iterations. So from the initial submission, did we increase the number of plantings?
yes, we have increased the number of plantings from the original submission substantially. The most recent submission from, I believe, March-ish of this year, we have reduced those plantings. Part of that is because we've reduced the site improvements within the frontage area between the building and the roadway. So it used to be 20 to 30 foot retaining wall, a truck circulation aisle, and other improvements. We have now relocated them, and we are still planting a fair amount in that area. I will also note that the majority of plantings that were removed were arborvitae and essentially smaller evergreen trees that lined the front of that larger retaining wall. Now that that large retaining wall has been removed, those plantings have been removed. The applicant is actually proposing more deciduous, more shade trees than even the prior application. It's only a reduction in those smaller evergreen trees that line the perimeter of that retaining
Why
wall.
don't we ask the board's planning expert to relook at A3? And that's gonna remain an open item, but
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify
Yeah,
the reason of why there's this.
glad you did.
Moving on to comments B1 and B2, the applicants will provide that, basically does deer protection for the necessary plants. And then also, there's a comment about providing the tree height for the deciduous or shade trees. So normally, landscape architect talk, deciduous shade trees, they're sized in caliper, which is the diameter of the tree trunk at planting. I have talked with some of the other landscape architects in our office. We agreed that if you were to convert that to a height, depending on the species, at planting, that tree would be anywhere from 9 to 16 feet tall, depending on the species.
So just,
So we can detail that.
like, detail that, so doesn't have to, we don't have to rely on testimony given at a hearing session at 8:57 PM.
And then the last two remaining comments are just for the architect to provide testimony on those two items when they come up before this board. So with that, I don't have any more direct testimony. Certainly, our office will get a chance to take a look at the board engineer's letter at a later date, but at this point, I don't have anything additional.
Can I just ask that you, talk about where dumpster enclosures are, how solid waste is gonna be handled, things like that?
Sure. So
You want these big ones over with you, or you're taking them home, so where do you want them?
I'll grab.
Okay.
So the way that the site is currently set up is that the waste,
A1 up there, yes?
this is exhibit A2, the site rendering.
Ah, okay.
So the question was the solid waste storage for the site. As currently proposed and is typical of these kind of facilities, the solid waste will be stored inside the building. Depending on the tenant's operations, one of the loading docks may be converted to either like a trash compactor or a cardboard compactor. And again, those are in the rear of the building. They won't be seen from the public. And then the waste pickup would be done just by a private hauler. But that solid waste would be stored inside the building.
Really?
There are, so here's the thing, without having an exact tenant, those are the typical operations. Yes, we are showing 2 exterior trash enclosures. It really depends on the tenant operations, if they even want one when those tenants move in. We're showing them as placeholders.
This is another situation like the water tank. You're seeking approval for them in case you need them, but if you don't need them, you'll get rid of them, and I assume those spaces will revert to what?
Landscaping.
I only said really, because if you have employees here that are, you have food waste, things like that. Probably not gonna store that in a building.
Again, it depends. Until the tenants are determined, we basically have it open-ended, which is why we're showing it all.
Right, but I assume your testimony is that the solid waste container areas would be enough for food waste to go in them or not?
Yes, they're large. They're both double enclosures. For the employees on the site, there's plenty of room for dumpsters.
So there's 2
waste.
double enclosures. Can you just point out where they are? I mean, I see them, but for
Sure.
the record.
One of them is immediately west of the water tower, which is that yellow circle on exhibit A2. And the second one is located further west at the other end of the truck courtyard, call it to the top left of the page, somewhere between the parking lot and truck courtyard.
So the testimony is that.
You're so well, John.
Yes.
No, there, yeah, in there, here. So you're seeking a condition, you're showing that private hauler would do pickup, and you're showing 2 double enclosures which could be converted to landscaping if they're not needed.
Correct.
That's the testimony.
Yes.
Okay.
Any board members have any questions for the witness?
Any board professionals?
Yeah, I do have a question, and you know,
You gotta go louder.
okay. Um. You said before when Mr. Drill asked you why you didn't put the parking for the employees behind the building. Right, and you said that why should they drive and get in the way of the trucks or whatever these large spaces are going to have trucks there. It would seem that if this is the only way in, they
Oh,
may
you're
have to.
saying if they're driving back, so explain how the employees are gonna get in to the parking spaces in the front. That's what he's asking.
Thank you.
So as you enter the site, it's a single driveway as you head north until you get to roughly the location of the water tower, which again is that yellow circle. At which point the circulation lane splits. You can either continue north around the back of the site to access the parking and offices all the way on the west side or left side of the page. Or you can turn into the truck courtyard, at which point, again, there's another diversion point that'll take you into the parking lot for the eastern offices and tenants there.
Excellent.
Okay. Um,
We're gonna go for the attorneys, but we'll give you a break. Yeah. So we're gonna take a 5-6 minute break for.
The attorneys will have questions first, but we have a board member, Joe, who has a question. So he'll have the first question before the attorneys get their questions after the break.
After break.
The record. All right, Joe, you had a question? Unmute yourself, let her rip.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So, Mr. Strani, we went through the calculations on parking spaces. You said that there were basically two threads, one based on building size, one based on employee shifts. And you discarded the employee side of that possibility. I guess it was whichever one leads you to the larger number.
Correct, yeah, it's whichever calculation is greater.
And so when you discarded the employee count, what were you using as your assumption on how many employees would be there?
I don't have the exact number here with me. I just have the formal calculation that we use. We did consult with the architect and the client on what they anticipated for the employee count for this building, and that calculation was less than if you just did the square footage
If you
calculation.
did a code review under occupancy, maximum occupancy for the square footage, what would be the total number of people that could be in the building at any one time?
You'd have that.
That's what I think the question is. Can you submit that, do a code review? How many maximum number of people in the building at any one time would be the maximum number of employees you'd be able to have in there?
You're saying like a fire code?
Yeah,
Yes. But I guess a good question for John is there any scenario where we would possibly anticipate it was one space per employee, 375 employees working in a light industrial building of this size?
Yeah, so again, the number of employees on that peak shift,
listen, you can ask him whatever, it's all speculation because you don't know the tenants. I suggest you go to the fire code maximum occupancy, that's at least based on some standard. But if you want to ask him speculative questions, go ahead, but I don't think whatever he says is gonna be anything more than speculation.
Okay, then that's fine. We'll provide that, the
So
calculation.
Joe, they're gonna do a fire code maximum occupancy calculation, and that would give you the maximum number of employees that would be allowed in the building at any one time. And then you could use that and see how many parking spaces that would require and see if this is greater.
I mean, I will say that we will talk with the architect and see if we can get further information, because when you go by building occupancy, and that number is gonna be much higher than the actual employees anticipated for this facility.
So then, if someone's gonna testify about the anticipated employees,
Yep.
it's gotta have a basis in fact. It can't be just speculation. So just pass that on to whoever you're gonna ask.
Or condition.
No. This is to figure out how many parking spaces, in my opinion, on which is greater. They have to have this thing factually based. It can't be based on speculation of how many.
But if they came in with 1,000 employees and they come back, which they agreed to come back, we would not approve that because there's too many employees for the parking. That's a risk they're running. Am I correct?
That's one way of doing it. I don't recommend that way, but if the board wants to, I just give advice. If you want to do it that way, you can do it that way.
We'd rather know ahead of time.
For sure. It seems to me that that's the best way to do it, but that's just my opinion.
How about to make it easy for everybody, we'll try to get you the numbers that you're asking, and if it's not sufficient, then we could work on alternatives if you're not willing to accept whatever numbers we provide or our explanation for why we're not using those calculations. And then if that's not sufficient, I think that's a good idea of what you're saying. But we'll try to address that beforehand so that it's clearer for this application, so that we don't have to kick that can down the road.
Joe, that's where you were headed with that question. Am I right or wrong?
Exactly, yes.
Anything else?
I have one other one, unrelated to that, different question. Permeable pavement was mentioned. Where would that be and how permeable is that? How does it affect the impervious number?
The permeable pavement is located within the employee parking lot on the outer perimeter. So if you're looking at the site plan, on the eastern parking lot, it is the parking spaces on the outer perimeter, same thing for the southern. And then on the western side, there's a double row of parking in the inner core. That's permeable pavement as well. I will say if you have a copy of our site plans that were submitted and you go to our drainage plan, the delineation areas of those porous pavement systems are shown on that plan.
Okay. And does that affect the impervious cover calculation?
No, so we still run those permeable pavement areas as if they were impervious for the purposes of the stormwater analysis.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board members?
I have a question. On this
That's
exhibit,
allowed, it's allowed, please.
on this exhibit, can you tell me?
Exhibit what? A3.
A3,
Thank you.
Thank you. The red area, I think you mentioned was 45 feet wide on the driveway?
At the neck of the driveway. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
what is what is the measurement
hold on.
on the flare?
I know you're talking to each other, right? You gotta face forward and project, so our court reporter gets everything down and we can hear everything.
Kathy, what was your question?
So the driveway is 45 at the neck. What is it at the flare?
It has to get a scale bar. The curb cut opening is wider. Don't have a scale with me, but say approximately
Scale
100
with you
feet.
that you can loan him, anyone have a scale?
It's more than, I mean.
We have a
from the
scale
drawing
coming
here,
to you.
It's more than.
We had a scale problem at the prior one too, remember?
I'll give it back right after this. From tangent point to tangent point of the curb cut, it is approximately 140 feet.
140?
Yes.
Okay, and wait, hold on, he still needs
Are you
that.
up there with that scale?
The orange area to the right, which goes to the blue area that touches the property line, how big is the orange area? At the curb?
Just gonna go to that exhibit so I can measure the exact area.
Maybe 40.
My father would always say, make sure you're using the right scale.
I'm gonna say it's 117 feet, somewhere between 115 and 120. But
Thank you.
it bends a little, so.
Can you give the scale back?
Yes, thank you.
Any other board questions?
Who's going first? I told him to try to reach an agreement between the.
We did. Good evening, everyone, members of the board. My name is Ted Carroll. I am an attorney in Flemington, New Jersey with the Gruenberg Law Office. And as just to state for the record, we represent Bloomsbury Borough as a special counsel. Good evening, Mr. Estrani. How are you?
Good evening.
So if, just pardon me, I'm gonna go back and forth and jump between different topics. I just want to make sure that because this is a rehearing, I want to touch on every question that's been asked previously. So if you could bear with me, I would appreciate that.
One
It-
second.
Yep, if you're changing paper, you're gonna need it.
Sorry. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you please reiterate what the height of the proposed structure is?
It's 45 feet tall.
And have you received any correspondence from emergency services indicating that the height of the structure is adequate for access?
As part of this application, we have not received any other letters other than from the board planner and the
Put it
board
this way.
engineer.
Has the height of the building changed between this one and last?
It is not.
Did you receive anything from the fire department last time?
Probably, I don't have that letter on me.
Okay, so my suggestion is send out a request to the fire department again. You can, if you want, you can use Kendra Lily's bullet points on the changes in plans and say, here are the plans, here are the changes. ask him to review it again.
I want to direct your attention to, Mr. Monaco's, professional review
Which
correspondence.
he hasn't reviewed yet,
Ah, okay.
okay?
I see.
So
I see.
you're gonna probably have to hold that one till he responds.
Unfortunately, I received it on my drive over here, so I have not had a chance to look at it.
Understood, understood. You are, qualified to speak as a civil engineer, correct?
Correct.
And you can't comment on, any aspects of acoustic engineering, correct?
I cannot.
Can you tell me whether the applicant, as part of their revisions, is proposing any acoustical treatment?
Again, I'm not an acoustics expert. I can't answer that question.
Okay, but as far as,
Are any acoustic treatments included with the site plans?
I mean, there's a large amount of landscaping proposed, which could be used as a noise dampening feature. But again, I'm not an acoustics expert. There's no, as far as I'm aware, there are no formal acoustic proposed
Yeah, you
features for the
shouldn't
site.
Ask him any questions about acoustics on the architectural plans, because they'll have an architect. there.
okay. Can you indicate where the HVAC equipment will be stored?
I'm not an
That's
architect.
stored where it's gonna be
Placed.
placed.
I'm not an architect. I didn't prepare the site plan, the architectural plans. I defer to him on the location of the HVAC.
Do you show any on the ground on your site?
We do not, no.
So
To my knowledge, all the HVAC is located on the roof. The architect will talk about the location of the HVAC, and I'm sure what everyone is getting to, the visibility of the HVAC.
Right. That's what he's getting to. I don't know about everybody, but right.
You mentioned as part of the, parking spaces that the applicant is proposing 4 drive-in ramps, correct?
Correct.
And can you tell me, the capabilities of those drive-in ramps, what size of vehicle, what type of vehicle they would be able to accommodate?
Again, from a building operation standpoint, we have an architect who, understanding this is a new application, will be providing testimony on the operations of that.
He's asking, what's the size of the doors at the, that open to the drive-in ramps? What by what? He's asking, what's the capacity for what size vehicle?
Just gonna stop for the record. Mr. Coulter John is leaving for a fire emergency.
Aha, okay, so he'll have to review.
We'll have to review this part.
Good, so, they're not to mention on this plan that I have here. I can scale them. But they are approximately the same size as the loading dock spaces, which I believe I do have the dimensions of that. They're 13.5, so they're a little bit larger. I'd probably say they're in the range of 15 feet. Wide,
15 feet, what, wide or high?
wide, and then they're as long as the loading dock, so 60 feet.
So theoretically, it could accommodate a tractor.
So, no, that is not the intent for these doors. Again, the architect will speak to that in terms of the garage door height and the type of vehicle that would be accessing the building.
Right, but I'm not asking about the purpose. I'm asking,
He's asking if the drive-in ramp dimensions are 15 feet wide by 60 feet deep, could a tractor trailer physically fit in there? That's his question.
Without looking at the garage door size, no, I can't say, but I will say that it's probably unlikely. And again, the slope of the drive-in door versus what a tractor trailer would be accommodating is not likely. Again, we have an architect who will testify
Okay.
to all it. I can simply say the dimensions of it.
Right, so why don't you say that you don't, the answer is you don't know, you gotta ask the architect, correct?
The architect will clarify the use of the drive-in doors.
I think he said that initially, but
I
we're
don't
getting
think he
there.
did.
Yeah, we're gonna defer to the architect on that.
Okay.
so I want to, address, the retaining walls. They've been reduced from the previous application from 30 feet tall to 9 feet, approximately 9 feet tall, correct?
The wall in the front of the site, yes.
I thought you said 8 feet.
It's,
It's as tall as 9 feet. The average is 7, certain sections are 8.
It's as tall as 9 feet?
Yes.
All right.
the cover letter states that it's 9 feet.
Okay, my bad.
And at the previous, March 13th, 2025 hearing, there was much discussion as to whether or not further details of the proposed retaining walls would be shared with this board before granting any final site plan approval. In light of these revisions to the plans, do you have any wall designs or, exhibits for visual elevations.
Can we reference the other hearings for this? So,
Shouldn't.
I mean, the question is stemming from that hearing, right?
Okay, reference it, but he's asking if the retaining walls were 30 feet and they're now reduced to 9 feet. Okay, he's asking for these retaining walls that are a maximum of 9 feet. Do you have any details of them? It's a yes or a no?
So the engineering design of the walls has not been prepared. Again, I want to clarify, the front retaining wall, 9 feet. The walls in the rear, which are covered by the building or not facing the road, are taller. They're cut walls. None of those walls have been designed. It was referenced in prior times that would be, the full engineering of that would be done as a condition of approval. And the applicant would make that statement as well.
Oh, okay, so in this application also, the applicant's willing to make that a condition if there's an approval.
Yes, it's a requirement. The town, building department will
Okay,
review
well,
those retaining
It
walls.
was prior to final approval was what was
Well,
previously.
if we're gonna limit our expert from testifying to prior hearings, why don't we ignore the prior hearings and we just stated
Ask
for the
him.
record that
Put it this way.
as a condition of approval, we will support it.
What he's asking you is, is the applicant willing, as a condition of approval, to say you could get a preliminary without having to put the details of the design of the walls in, but is the applicant willing to give the details of the design of wall prior to final approval, not as a condition of final, it's a condition of preliminary, but to be submitted prior to final? Is that your question?
Yes.
That's his question.
I'd have to talk to the applicant.
Talk to the applicant, okay?
You previously testified that any signage to be installed by the prospective tenant will require further board approval, correct?
I did not state that. I stated that if the prospective future tenant required any relief from the signage ordinance, they would have to come back before this board as a separate application.
I'm not answering the question, I'm not testifying, but I asked the board's planning expert to look up the ordinance. The ordinance says if one of these building mounted tenant signs complies with the ordinance, it does not need site plan approval. It could get a sign permit, so it wouldn't have to come back. And the opinion was that if it needed a variance, then it would have to come back. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Understood. With that being said, is there any directional signage proposed for the site?
There's no directional sign currently proposed. Usually it's tenant specific. Sometimes they want to have their name or like a building number or tenant number listed there. So that will be provided. The code section does provide an allowance for directional signs. It is the intent of the applicant to comply with the size of those directional signs.
Are directional signs shown on the site plans?
They're not. The only sign that we're showing is the monument
Okay,
sign.
Because directional signs, I mean, my preliminary legal opinion is you need site plan approval for directional signs, because it's part of the traffic and circulation.
I would agree.
Well, how about this? We have a traffic expert that's going to testify. We will take a look at it, and when our traffic expert comes up here, he'll either tell you whether or not he agrees with your interpretation of the code, and which he will. I mean, if he does, we will provide either a plan or an exhibit that will reflect where or what they might
But
be.
that one, they're deferring to the traffic expert.
All right, and will that also include speed limit signage as well?
I'll defer to our traffic engineer on traffic safety signage for the project site.
Can you explain to the board and to the members of the public why
Let the trucks get out. Okay.
can you explain to the board why additional variance relief is not required for the proposed water tower? Because as you indicated, the height of the water tower is 30 feet, correct?
I did not state that, no. I didn't talk about the height of the water tower at all during my
That's from the height
testimony.
of the water.
What is the height of the water tower?
The height of the water tower will comply with the town requirements for an accessory structure, which I believe, I'm gonna pull up the bulk table, is 15 feet. The applicant's intent is for the water tower to comply with that height. And that is indicated on our site plan in the bulk table, 15 feet.
And what is it is it indicated on the plans?
It's indicated as proposed height of that water tower in our bulk table at 15 feet. Which complies with the town code.
I'm just gonna direct your attention to the stormwater management report that was submitted. I believe it was in excess of 537 pages or so. Just on page 48 of the report, which was part of the Whitestone Engineering study that was done in June 21st, 2023. It states on page 48 that a possible east to west bedrock trough extends across the northwest portion of the site.
Hold up again, second truck. Okay,
Okay. A possible east to west bedrock trough extends across the northwest portion of the site, and two areas of potential increased clay or highly weathered rock content were identified in the southeast field. Those areas would be more prone to the formation of sinkholes than other portions of the survey area. And the report goes on to say on that same page, in addition, the subject site is situated in a region of carbonate rock formations that can be susceptible to sinkhole formation and loss of ground support. Subsurface features indicative of an elevated risk of sinkhole activity were observed during the site investigation. Due to the results of the field investigation, it is Whitestone's opinion that the risk of sinkhole formation on the subject site is consistent with the surrounding development and elevated in areas as indicated by a 1-foot void encountered during rock quarrying. I don't know as to, because you didn't prepare the report, I'm not sure if you have sufficient knowledge to demonstrate this, but is there any way that you can indicate those areas that were mentioned?
As previously asked during my qualifications, I'm not a geotechnical
he didn't
engineer.
ask you that.
I'm not,
He said, do you know where those areas are on your site plan? That's what he asked you.
I do not. So I just want to clarify, Whitestone, the report that he's referencing was a preliminary report where they did a handful of explorations. A more detailed geotechnical report is ongoing, the results of which show that the site is generally underlain by impermeable, non-percolating soils. The updated geotechnical report, because there's a requirement from the town for a more detailed report, will be submitted for its professionals review.
When will it be submitted? The updated geotech report.
I'd have to talk to the applicant. Unfortunately, I don't know the timing. I know that they did perform the tests out in the field. I think we're waiting on the results of that.
When it's
report.
submitted, who's gonna come to testify about it and answer questions? Someone from your office or just a consultant outside your office?
I think for starters, we'll submit the report when we receive it, right? We'll submit it to the board. If they prepare a report, we'll submit it to the board. If there's any questions, we will discuss it at that point in time. And just because there's a report doesn't mean we need necessarily testimony on it. It's only if issues arise.
Oh. Okay, if issues arise, I bet I know at least one person who's gonna have questions about it.
That's fine. I understand that.
Okay, all right.
So you don't have the results of any geotechnical testing exploration?
They don't have a written report. Look, if you want to answer questions, what you think's in the report, go ahead, but if there's no written report, if I were you,
I'll reserve comment. We'll wait for the report to be submitted.
it's potential speculation. You agree with this, Mr. Lepari, that he?
I certainly agree with what you said.
Yeah.
There's no reason to answer this line of questioning. Preliminary report, you said he's not
Yeah, but he
qualified.
was virgin on wanting to answer. You wanted,
He doesn't want to answer.
okay.
We're all trying to be polite for the questions, that's all.
At this time, can you confirm whether blasting will take place as part of the construction?
I cannot, no. It's conversation with the applicant and their prospective GC. And again, the results of the more detailed geotechnical reports.
Again, do we have any idea when this report's gonna be submitted?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Again, is it being done by someone?
It is not. It's
in
being
your office
performed
or-
by Whitestone Engineering, a separate engineering
Okay,
company.
fine, okay, got it.
And their engineer would be able to testify?
Listen, he said, okay?
He's not the engineer to answer the question.
Right, he said they're gonna submit the report and then we're gonna see what happens.
Does the applicant at this time have any response plan and notification protocol in the event that there are any sinkholes on site?
I will object to the question. It's highly speculative, and again, it's
Well, actually-
not, it's,
Around this area with sinkholes, normally on the preliminary plans, there's notes about that, just to give you a heads up about that.
I understand that, but that's There's no reason to believe that there's any issue like that.
So the answer is, at this point, there's no notes whatsoever on the plans because you don't know whether or not there's any risk. Because you haven't seen the updated report, is that correct?
Correct. On the topic of lighting, does the applicant still agree to a post-installation photometric test as a condition of approval? I remember if we did that previously.
I can't hear you.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think in my head what was.
Put it this way, if you have to ask somebody, ask somebody. Without referring to what happened in the past, does the applicant agree to a post-installation light test?
Not at this time.
Okay, just so you know, it's a standard condition that the board imposes. on any
It will comply with the conditions that the board imposes. So if the board imposes a condition, we'll comply with it, obviously, because we have to. But we're not gonna volunteer additional tests just because Mr. Carroll is asking us to do so. But if the board asks us to, it's a different question.
Right. I assume you're requesting that the board impose as a condition.
I would, yes, yeah. Is the proposed lighting dark sky compliant?
The lighting manufacturer that we're using is Cree, and they have dark sky compliant fixtures. The current fixture that is being proposed is called the Edge, which I do not believe is currently certified, but they do have other options of very similar lighting levels that are. Dark sky compliance is basically just the full cutoff light fixture. Again, the light levels on site, very dim, and there's no light spill over into the adjacent properties.
Would the applicant be willing to install dark sky compliant light
Yes,
fixtures?
we will work with the manufacturer to make sure the fixtures being proposed are certified.
I see on the revised plans, can you, I'm just pointing to the revised plans, sorry, the resubmitted plans as part of this application. Is there a barrier or gate at the entrance to the site depicted on those plans?
No,
Are there any other measures proposed to limit access to the site outside of operating hours?
not at this time.
I assume you're gonna ask them if the board wanted a gate or a barrier at the entrance, would the applicant agree?
The only caveat-
If you don't know, just say, I don't know, I gotta talk to the applicant.
Well, the question is yes.
I just asked it.
Right.
So I just need to explain, the caveat for having a gate or barrier at the driveway at a DOT roadway means that we need to have what's called essentially like an escape area. So if this area is meant for trucks, we need to have a large turnaround area for the truck at the driveway if there is a gate there so that the truck doesn't back out into the driveway if the facility is closed. That is a DOT requirement. We're not proposing a barrier there at this time because that would add a significant amount of impervious within the buffer that we are trying to protect.
That's his answer.
Right. And can, maybe the traffic engineer can answer this question, but is a truck able to make that full turn? A fully loaded tractor trailer able to make that turn at the point of ingress to the site?
To circulate into the site, yes. The traffic engineer will provide exhibits with truck maneuvering to depict that to the board and the public, but the driveway has been sized to allow for the anticipated design vehicle, tractor trailer to enter the site with right and left turn movements.
Is that in fact why you're seeking the variance to have a wider?
That is correct,
permitted
yes.
Driveway?
Yes.
On sheet 6 of the submitted plans, you indicate that there are a number of signs which will be removed and relocated as part of the improvements along Route 173. Can you just tell me, because I don't have that much expertise in this, what the process is for getting the governmental approvals for the relocation and whether or not those, you have any idea of where those relocated signs will be placed?
It's part of our DOT permit.
Does the applicant intend to have any overnight parking for?
Yes, you can. It's my fault. God bless you, but can you ask the question again?
Does the applicant intend to have any overnight parking for vehicles? If so, which vehicles?
I would have to talk to the applicant about the specifics of that.
Are tractor trailers allowed to park in the loading docks overnight?
I'd have to talk to the applicant about the specifics of that.
With the shortening of the circulation drive limited to the rear of the site, was there any planning for congestion of vehicles entering and exiting the site? And is there any staging plan proposed at the opening of the site?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure. Has, and maybe this is a question better for the.
Sounds like it's a
traffic
question for
engineer.
the traffic engineer. I just wanted to make sure I heard you correctly.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask him to repeat it too. I didn't hear
That's
you, but okay.
um.
Well, that's it. Look what you thought. But I gotta go first.
With regard to the bioretention basins, there are 4 proposed bioretention basins, correct?
There are 4 small scale bioretention basins, yes.
And what are the proposed plantings and vegetation of, that will be within those bioretention basins?
It's outlined in our landscaping plan. It's a series of seeding and various types of plants. It's detailed, very detailed in our landscaping plan. It calls out all the seed mixes and plantings within those bioretention areas.
And you said that there are, with regard to waste collection on the site, you said that there are 2 proposed trash enclosures.
That is correct, yes.
And will the applicant be responsible for the collection and hauling?
Previously testified that a private hauler would handle that.
No. post in my-
I know.
Big 3-hole pipe.
Did your stormwater management calculations give any consideration for the impervious, or I'm sorry, the pervious pavement on site? And by that, I'm getting to, in the winter, isn't it true that in the winter time, the permeable pavement becomes less pervious?
Because you mean because it freezes?
That's correct.
That's not true at all. In fact, it's the opposite. Because the pavement is porous, there's actually less of a chance of icing in those areas. The maintenance of those porous paver systems is outlined in our operations and maintenance manual that was submitted to the board.
Will any tenant be granted access to the site after operating hours?
An operational question, I would have to talk to the applicant.
I believe those are all the questions that I have at this time.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, I want to point out one thing to the applicant. So Greenwich Township's ordinance, it's the traffic ordinance. It's chapter 7, section 4.2 restricts parking of commercial vehicles in private parking lots overnight.
The applicant would comply with that.
Okay, I just wanted you to know that for the applicant's benefit. Because I was curious when the question came up, so I looked it up.
Covered that last time, but.
We did. I did it.
New application, that's perfect. Thank you for that.
Good.
Could not mention that, but yes, thank you.
Yeah. Next attorney?
Good evening again for the record, John Kaplan from Harold Law in Warren Township, New Jersey. You prepared all these plans, correct?
Correct, yes.
And you reviewed all the ordinances, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Have you ever designed a light manufacturing facility in Greenwich Township?
In Greenwich Township, no.
Yeah, can you speak up? They're not hearing you in the back.
Have you ever designed a light manufacturing facility elsewhere, Somerset County, Warren County, Hunterdon County?
I've designed light industrial facilities throughout the East Coast, notably Bayonne, Newark. I think off the top of my head of light industrial uses. Those are the ones that come to mind. I don't know the specific counties that you mentioned.
Were they similar size to this one?
They were larger.
Do you ever design a warehouse in Greenwich?
I have not designed any industrial uses in Greenwich. This is my first development project in the township of Greenwich.
Have you ever designed any other warehouse projects elsewhere?
Yes,
How large were those? Do you recall?
I mean, the size varies depending on what the client wants. I mean, it's a warehouse, so the storage can vary significantly. I mean, you could have larger warehouse facilities, and you could have smaller ones. Generally speaking, warehouses trend to be on the larger size, probably in the range almost, double of this building here.
Can they be the size of this building?
Again, speculative, like,
Put it this way, have you ever designed a warehouse anywhere on the East Coast that was the size of this building?
yes,
You're proposing 32 loading docks. Where did you get the number 32 from?
the architect will provide testimony regarding the number of loading docks, and why it's structured that way, and why the building has been tentatively laid out to potentially accommodate 4 tenants. So in reality, each tenant would only have whatever, 32 by that, roughly 6 to 8 loading docks, depending on the cutout. But the architect will provide testimony on that.
What about the 74 trailer stalls? Where'd you come up with 74?
Again, we're proposing a layout that we have discussed with the project team in terms of meeting the needs that they believe are required to have a successful light industrial development.
Would that go for the van parking stalls too?
Correct.
So any site lighting questions you're not gonna answer?
I did not say that. Do you have a question about lighting?
Other lights on the loading docks themselves?
There are building mounted lights in the rear of the building, yes.
Do you know, I know you testified, you have to talk to the police department. Do you know if there's security lighting or operational lighting?
As I mentioned, there is security lighting. That security lighting will remain on overnights while the remainder of the lights will be turned off. Which lights will be designated as security lighting needs to be coordinated with the police department.
And you do have an LOI testified to. And are there any other environmental constraints on the property besides the buffers we spoke about extensively within the front?
No, so it's just the flood hazard area and riparian zone that I mentioned previously.
That LOI, can you resubmit it for this application?
Yes, you mentioned that, we will.
Did I mention it before?
Yes.
Okay.
In your discussions with the DEP regarding the buffers from the Musconetcon River, was there a determination?
Just a little louder, please.
Was there a
You
determination?
gotta go loud, project.
Did they determine where the top of the bank is?
The top of bank is delineated from our survey. Our surveying team went out there, delineated the top of bank and the riparian zone, and the municipal's, edge of water setback are offset from that. As part of the permitting process with the DEP, I mentioned to Mr. Drill, one of the permits we need is called a flood hazard area verification. The DEP will verify the extents of the flood hazard area and riparian zone on the project site.
So at this point, they have not approved that. They're just still in the application process, correct?
Yes, correct.
The 3 culverts under Route 173, so they're going to remain, correct?
Correct.
Can you just identify where they are on the plan?
Sure, I'm gonna walk over and point it, on exhibit A2. They're spread evenly across the site. The first one is located on the eastern side, over here along the frontage. There's another one roughly in the midpoint, here, roughly. And then there's one more, towards the western side. So they're spaced almost 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 along the frontage.
And are they on the property side of 173 or the other side or the river side of 173?
It's a mix. The openings to the culverts are on our property with the exception of one, which is in the highway, and all three discharge into the river.
On the other side?
Yes.
You identified the pervious pavement. As with regard to the loop. It's not so much a loop as it was before, but the road that goes all the way around, is that heavy duty paving?
I believe we submitted a pavement plan as part of our site plans. Give me 1 second to find it. So sheet C17 details the sections that are light duty and heavy duty. That loop road that you're referring to on the north end of the site is heavy duty.
So any question with regard to the number of days we're gonna defer to the,
Loud. Sorry.
any questions regarding the number of days we're deferring to the architect, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware of any other facility in Greenwich Township that has this many loading docks?
I'm not aware, nor have I researched other facilities in town. We're here to talk specifically to this application.
And you didn't mention the number of trees that are coming down and going up. Is it compliant with the tree replacement ordinance?
So, yeah, I'm gonna make a loose reference to prior proceedings, but we did prepare a tree survey that was coordinated with Mr. Monaco's predecessor, the extent of that tree survey. That tree survey was prepared and submitted, as part of the site plan and, survey set
Part of this,
of this current set, yes. So it does not outline the trees to be
the tree
removed.
inventory is on sheet C 4.1, correct?
Correct, yes. And keep in mind, as discussed with Mr. Good, we performed a tree survey of a portion of the site, not of the entirety of the site. So in terms of the exact number of trees to be removed, we do not know, but the applicant again is proposing over 1,000 trees, 1,100 and change, which I'm very confident will definitely exceed the number of trees, being removed from the site.
What is the tree replacement requirement? I asked Jim to take a look at it. You keep on going.
Have you or will you be submitting any visual impact renderings, studies?
The architect will provide testimony and exhibits.
Can you tell me, it's a light question, if possible, why you need to exceed the foot candle limit?
I testified to this earlier, but the way that the code is written, it says that you are required to have an average of 0.5. It doesn't say a minimum or a maximum, it says 0.5. So if you had 0.49, 0.51, it still requires zoning relief. We're proposing 0.7.
But he's asking, why can't you
Why can't
get
you?
closer to the 0.5? That's what he's.
The way that-
beating around the bush, but that's what he means.
The way that lights work, it's fluid measurements and the measurement grid is only taken at a certain interval. So to get exactly 0.5 out of thousands and thousands of calculation points is impossible, while we're also trying to maintain the minimum, because there is a minimum light level on the property for the parking areas. So in order to lower the average, we have to darken the other areas of the parking lot to the point where some of them wouldn't be illuminated. So even if we got closer to 0.5, we'd then probably need a variance for not meeting the minimum illumination level per code.
The floor area ratio maximum permitted in the zone is 10%. You're right at that limit, correct?
We're slightly under, I believe it's 9.8%, but yes, the applicant complies with the floor area ratio for the.
So if there is gonna be a mezzanine proposed, it's not gonna exceed 10% FAR, correct?
Correct. The architect will provide testimony if there is or isn't a mezzanine and the specifics of that.
This site's partially located in a historic neighborhood, correct?
I'm not familiar. It's in a historic district, which is not recognized by the state or federal as a landmark.
But it's in a historic district.
Correct.
Is it in a historic district? Yes.
It is, yes.
And there are historic ruins on the site?
I'm not an expert in any historical value. I'm not gonna claim to opine on any sort of historical significance for anything that may be on site. The only thing I will attest to, which I've mentioned already, is that nothing on site is registered as a historic landmark, either in the state of New Jersey or on the federal level.
Remind me, is there anything from SHPO, the State House Preservation Officer?
There was correspondence previously submitted that
Can you, let's ask. Okay. Silapari, I know that this is a brand new application, but is there any change in the proposal for that existing dwelling to be demolished? Give the applicant's position for the record.
The structure will be demolished.
Okay, and is there
And there's
any,
no restriction that we're aware of that would prevent that.
and is there any change from last time around to this time around regarding that? What I'm trying to get to, if there's correspondence with SHPO, can that be submitted on this, or is there some new plan? For example, if the fire department reviewed something, they'd have to review it again because the plan has some changes. But is there any change in what's your position on whether the SHPO correspondence could be submitted for this application?
From the last time we were here, I don't believe there's been any changes since the last time we were physically standing here. And we did it a couple of times, so I believe it would still be relevant. The last correspondence that was submitted to the board.
So could you resubmit that correspondence, with this?
Yeah, I'll double check because it wasn't through me, but I will double check. And I understand what you're asking for. I'll do my best to comply with that request.
Thank you.
If I can't, I'll let you know why.
Okay, thanks.
Testified previously that the building was 45 feet in height, correct?
correct.
Aside from the footprint of the building, did you have any input on the height of the building?
We did not. We advised the architect of the limitations to the building height and they designed the building to match.
Do you know the typical ceiling height for a light manufacturing building versus a warehouse?
The architects can provide testimony on, again, the operations inside the building and typical light industrial facility operations.
Do you know the maximum slope of the entrance drive to the rear?
Are you asking me the slope of the driveway?
Correct.
Slope of the driveway varies. It's anywhere from 8 to 9% slope.
Those are all the questions I have.
Thank you. So the chairman has said it's now going to be time for members of the public to ask questions of this witness. He's requesting don't ask traffic related questions until the traffic engineering expert is here. Only ask questions on either what he said or what his plans show. And he's also requested don't ask repetitive questions that someone has already asked. And there's gonna be the time limit on 3 minutes for each person, no seconds. And no, you can't say, okay, I yield, you ask 1 minute questions, I yield my question to someone else, okay? And I'll do it, and the chairman's gonna do the timing, so who's up first with questions for this witness? Come. And we're gonna request whoever wants to ask some questions to actually come up to here, because this way you'll be talking loud enough so he and everyone in the public and the board can hear, and he'll be talking loud enough to answer. So Pat, it looks like you want to be number one. Come on up.
I'd like to, but I haven't seen these plans, so I really can't
Well, you could
put
have
my
come.
questions, so.
This is just, these are exhibits that are illustrative of the plans that have been on file.
The color one, the color one.
All I can tell you is,
Okay.
this is the normal way
Okay.
things are done in any land use board. They're entitled to bring exhibits.
We know that nothing was,
Listen, I have no idea.
I'm asking you a legal question.
Yeah.
So nothing was, that was pre-asked or predefined is admitted into this.
That's correct. This is brand new.
Thank you.
Right, so can you identify yourself for the records?
Yes, my name is Patrick Miller. We belong to block 31, lot 13, next door, which you forgot us off the plans again.
Okay, so this question's only, so I'm not swearing you in at this point.
Correct.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Miller, Miller.
Okay.
Yep, shoot. Yeah, your time's
My
running.
first one is, the trailer parking in the back, that is designated for trailers only, is that correct?
Correct.
The location here, when they are unloading, are the tractors attached to those trailers while they're unloading?
It's operational question. I would have to talk to the applicant and the architects about whether or not the trailer and the
He doesn't know.
cab would still be connected.
Because that does affect the spacing out, the trucks are out further. That would do the whole site plan.
But listen, he doesn't know. He's gonna know next time when he comes back. You can ask him this again.
Okay? You have no parking for any trucks that are disconnected and or straight trucks on this site plan, is that correct?
That is correct. There is only parking for trailers and for vans.
Okay, where are they gonna go if they disconnect and if they have trucks that are waiting?
An operational question. The architect can outline some of this. Again, we also have a traffic engineer who's gonna come up and talk about circulation as well.
Just stop for 1 second. Stop it, stop. You're gonna be a designated person to answer questions like this or not? But we're trying to be most efficient with time.
Right, we'll answer the questions that we can that are very generic, but again, if they're specific to a tenant, we don't have the tenant.
He's not asking about- I know.
Well, if he's asking about a specific user,
He's not asking about a specific user. He's asking about,
okay, I think I answered the question. If we can answer these generic questions, I'll get an operational, I'll get answers to the operational questions.
okay, and who's going to respond to them? The architect you're gonna tell, or you're gonna bring someone in?
If the architect can't answer the questions, and we still need answers to those questions, we'll have to deal with it at that point in time. We think an architect will be able to answer a lot of the questions,
Okay,
along with the traffic engineer as well.
okay, keep on going. Yep.
But my question is, where are you parking them? If they do, you said hypothetically, we don't know who's parking is gonna be here.
What he said is, he doesn't know. It's either you're gonna ask the traffic expert and the architect. He's deferring to both of them for you. So you're gonna be up again when those guys are here. Ask the same question. Go ahead.
That's really a problem that we have as an individual, we don't want things to go, I understand. We see no access points for truckers for, when they're waiting for the trucks to be unloaded and loaded. I know that's interior, but how are you designating them not to be walking around the property? On the backside, because there's no safety.
Do you know?
The traffic engineer will provide testimony on traffic signage and the regulations and roadway.
You
and
need an
safety signage.
operations person to answer that, but you understand the question he asked?
Somewhat.
I believe he's looking for
Tractor
something like
trailer
no
pulls
parking,
in.
no idling along the driveway.
Tractor trailer pulls in, they drop the trailer. Where's the tractor go? Number one. Number two, if he's waiting there to pick something else up, he wants to know, is there some place, does he go inside the building? Or if he's gonna walk around because he's the next door neighbor, he doesn't want the guy walking around onto his property. So he wants someone to be able to answer that question. And if you wanna hear what he does in his property, He'll tell you, but, or if you wanna wait, he'll when he's testifying. You wanna know what he does on his property?
No.
Okay. He'll tell him.
I have all operational questions, where trucks are gonna go, when.
Okay, then you're gonna ask, they're gonna have someone else, this guy's not gonna be able to answer for you.
Perfect.
Who's next? I'm not being curt on purpose, I'm just trying to move things along. Come on, up, right up here. Yep. This way, you can face the witness and everyone can hear, and it forces you to talk loud and it forces him to talk loud.
Can you just give my name again?
Yeah, for the record, what's your name?
Neil Moorcroft,
You have to spell it again.
NEILMOORCROFT,
Okay, and again, your address?
603 State Route 173.
Greenwich.
So what de-icing chemicals will be used for?
Louder.
What de-icing chemicals will then be used for permeable asphalt?
There are options out there. The O and M manual specifies the type of treatment that can be used. As I mentioned before to the prior attorney, the benefit about permeable asphalt is because the water just filters immediately through, has a very high permeable rate, that those areas aren't subject to icing. Those areas don't pond because the water doesn't sit there, it filters through the system.
You have other areas that are regular asphalt. What de-icing compounds will be using for the site?
The specific compounds, I could not tell you. Again, it's part of the operations and maintenance of general property maintenance for the site. I'm sure it will be using something that is suitable for a porous pavement area.
But this is defined in your page 17 of your operations and maintenance manual. It says that you cannot use various different compounds, including magnesium chloride, as well as magnesium acetate or potassium acetate.
Correct. Those are the standards that the DEP outlines that we then put in our manual to outline to the applicant and any future property owners how to maintain those systems.
So you're going to have to be using essentially a chloride-based de-icing.
I'm not an expert on de-icing materials. We know what the prohibited materials are.
But aren't the prohibited ones actually more friendly to the environment in that they are actually biodegradable, whereas chloride actually causes toxicity to fish?
I'm not an expert on de-icing chemicals.
Let me ask this, are you guys gonna have someone that can answer these questions or not?
I think he answered it perfectly adequately.
He just said he doesn't know the
answer.
answer.
didn't know.
And we will not use what we cannot use, only what's permitted.
Okay, that's his answer. It's up to them if they don't wanna bring someone to answer the question. Keep on going.
So these de-icers that are actually prohibited are actually the ones that are actually more effective.
He says he doesn't know, and you can't testify. You asked him and he said he has no idea. I'm putting words in his mouth now, but do you have any idea?
Again, I'm not an expert on
Right.
de-icing chemicals or solutions.
He doesn't know. So all these questions you got, he doesn't know. You could make that part of your closing if they don't bring someone in to answer them, but that's up to you.
So on page 17 of your manual, it says no de-icing chemicals will be used in the first year of installation. Does that mean that your facility is going to be closed for the first winter after your construction?
Again, depends on the time of installation and again, the methods for any sort of snow or ice removal that would, again, prohibit whatever amount
Where
of
did it
de-icing.
say on page 17 if they can't? No, he said that you can't, oh, yeah, let's say that, never mind, okay, that's what your manual says.
I understand.
So he's saying if you can't use de-icing chemicals. Less,
I'm sorry, can I just ask one clarifying question? So this says on pervious concrete. Less than a year old.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between pervious
So I
concrete?
don't have a copy of the O and M manual on me, so I
Yeah,
can't.
take it.
Yes.
In other words, is your pervious pavement pervious blacktop asphalt or is it pervious concrete?
Pervious asphalt. The way that the O and M manual is set up is that the NJDEP has something called the BMP manual, best management practices, that outlines different recommendations like this that we then put into our
I
manual.
understand, but that's talking about pervious concrete and you
I
want
understand.
pervious
The
blacktop.
section on this is for permeable pavement, so the recommendations for that covers all three types, like brick pavers, concrete, and asphalt. The applicant is proposing asphalt.
Do you know whether de-icing chemicals can be used on pervious blacktop less than a year old? Yes or no?
I'm not familiar.
Okay. He doesn't know.
Given the restriction de-icing,
Don't write on mine. I don't want that. I'm gonna want.
Oh, no, I'm writing my own notes.
Okay.
will there be signage to eliminate the improper application of de-icing compounds and prevent dumping of unsuitable materials on the permeable asphalt?
Where, are you reading from this again?
No,
Yes, if there's gonna be signage.
that's where there's signage.
Okay.
No, no signage will be proposed. Again, it's property management. We'll have a copy of the O&M manual outlining to them the maintenance regulations required for these stormwater facilities.
Isn't that required in the BMP manual 9.6 on page 31?
Good. I don't have the BMP manual in front of me.
Are you gonna give it to you?
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Can you state the section again?
It's page 31. It says, and this is not part of my question, I'm just helping out the applicant. It says that signage will be necessary because pervious paving systems look like traditional pavement. Signage may be necessary to eliminate improper application of de-icing compounds and to prevent dumping of hazardous materials and to eliminate the intrusion of vehicles exceeding the design loading rate of the system, which could compact
Slow it down,
deform
slow it down.
a surface course.
Yes, it says it may be required. At this point, we've installed a lot of porous pavement systems. We've never installed signage for it. The asphalt is designed the same way that any other traditional asphalt system would be designed for the vehicle loading, in this case, typical passenger vehicles.
So will you have a designated area for stockpiling snow and ice on site?
There's no designated areas right now, but it is typical as part of a management, property management, that they would have some sort of snow storage area or remove the snow from the site.
Just so you know. Okay. The board's gonna want to, we're gonna ask the traffic expert, so you might as well bring the traffic expert into this discussion. They're gonna ask them where the snow plowing areas, where the piles, because they're gonna wanna know if there's still adequate traffic circulation. It's giving you a heads up.
Thank you. He's the appropriate person to discuss that.
But this is a site plan.
They're correct.
It says on page 9, that a grade separated area must be designated on the plan. Can you show me on the plan?
He just said, they don't have it. He doesn't have it. That's what he
There's
said.
no specifically delineated areas currently. We can provide delineated areas.
So there's lots of complicated restrictions on winter use and the de-icing compounds. Will the applicant be capturing this in a deed restriction?
The O&M manual is filed with the property deed.
And that fulfills page 2 of the BNP. It says that it must, there must be a plan and it must be reflected in a deed notice.
Correct. So the operation and maintenance manual includes plans, it includes maintenance logs, it includes a list of responsibilities for the property owner or future property owner to maintain the stormwater facilities. It is standard to have that manual recorded with the property deed.
So how deep are the storage beds beneath the permeable pavement?
Give me one moment, I can pull that up. The depth varies, but it's generally 2 feet, 24 inches.
On sheet C20 on panel 6, that seems to be showing more than 6 foot.
which detail are you referring to on C20?
L6.
Oh, detail 6.
Yes, the top of storage is 316, the bottom of storage is 314.33. So it's less than 2 feet. I have a half-size copy. Is those numbers correct? Yes.
May maybe I'm actually misremembering, I apologize. Can I see it?
Here, take this. Just give it back to me. I'm not, that's all over the place. You're carrying 920 glasses.
I got readers. Not readers.
How deep is the bottom compared to the top of the asphalt?
So you asked for the depth of the
He's asking a
storage.
different question now.
Sorry.
Let's do his question.
That's why I got mixed up.
Right.
The difference between the top of the asphalt and the bottom of the storage,
Appears to be 8 inches.
to the bottom of the pipe.
So,
Top of the asphalt to the bottom,
yes,
not the bottom of the asphalt, the bottom of the pit.
34 inches. So 24 plus 8, 32 inches.
Right? I calculated it as 6 foot, but maybe I was looking at a different.
Again,
number.
the elevation is 316.75 minus 314.33.
So given in the preliminary biotechnical report, you were finding high seasonal water table about 3.5 foot and water within 5 foot. How comfortable do you think you're going to be with that being below, 1 foot below the bottom of these?
All the stormwater BMPs on site comply with the estimated seasonal high groundwater. I will note, particularly for the porous pavement systems, they're all located in areas of fill. So if the, may give a number, the existing grade is 100, the porous pavement is installed at 120, so it's 20 feet higher than existing grade.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Questions to this witness? You may. Thank you. State your name for the record, please. and your address.
Walensky, Len. Wilensky.
Give me that last name again, I'm sorry.
Wilensky.
Okay, address?
326 Greensridge Road, Stewartsville.
Greenwich.
Yes. And I apologize if my questions are not appropriate at this time.
If they're not
We'll let you know.
appropriate, we'll let you know.
Okay, let it rip. 2 questions. One, I've heard the terms warehouse and light industrial. Are they the same, or what is the purpose of this building?
So that's not for him.
Okay,
That's good. Their planner, you're gonna ask their planner, their planner will be addressing that because that's an interpretation question that the board's eventually gonna have to answer.
Well,
Yeah.
it's not an interpretation question. We're not seeking a warehouse use. We're seeking a light industrial use pursuant to
Right.
your code.
Correct. The objectors are gonna argue.
Well, they shouldn't, because that's not what we're asking for, but.
I understand.
well, no, but that, I've heard both terms
Listen,
here,
listen,
that's
listen.
why. I
Right,
was-
we haven't used the word warehouse, because we're
Correct.
not asking for one.
Correct.
The only time it was mentioned was when I said that's what we're not proposing
Okay.
on this site.
All right,
I imagine somebody is gonna argue that, and then you'll have to answer that.
I don't know that it's an appropriate argument, but I'll deal with it when it comes.
and then my other question is, I keep hearing that you do not have a tenant yet for this property.
That is
Correct.
correct.
And from what I understand, once you do get a tenant, these plans could all change. You're going to adjust this building for the needs of your tenant. Is that correct? So in other words, we may.
Yes, is that correct?
That is not correct. The idea is that the building is built on spec, which is per industry standards for a light industrial building. A tenant coming in basically would know, okay, I have a building that's 45 feet tall, or I have a tenant space of this
Can I cut
size.
to the chase here?
Yes,
The inside fit out might change, but the exterior and the site improvements
correct.
are not gonna change, other than you might not need a water tank that you're seeking approval for, and you might not need 2 trash enclosures that you're seeking approval for. Is that correct?
Correct.
And they are, I'm just saying, I just wanna concisely state their position. I'm not saying, I'm not taking sides on this thing at all. And they're saying that before any tenant can actually occupy the building, that tenant is gonna have to come before the board and hear exactly what their use is to make sure that it's a light industrial use and not.
But, if I understand correctly, the inside's changing. The
Right.
number of occupants could be changing, the number of office workers could be changing. Needs for trash disposal could increase or decrease. All of that is still subject to change.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. That's what I want to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions here?
Yeah, Nick, real quick. You had just said, something about light industrial standards. What are the industry standards for a light industrial building?
So I mentioned, and again, I'm not trying to deflect a lot of these questions, but our architect will testify to all the details of why the light industrial was designed the way that it was.
No, I'm not talking about that. In particular, you had said this, I think, when I read it back, you
You did.
had mentioned
Yeah, he said it.
industrial standards.
Right.
What are they?
Again, when I say that, I mean the number of loading docks or the drive-in doors or the building height, all of that was coordinated with the architect who is familiar with light industrial buildings and what tenants are typically looking for.
Okay, so you're not aware of any particular published standard, or?
No.
Okay.
Good. Named?
Neil Metter. Neil, last name Metter, Meador.
And address?
94 Brunswick Ave, Bloomsbury.
Okay.
Just want to confirm that you're going to reuse the 3 existing culverts that go under 173 into the Musconetcong.
That is correct.
Okay. Do you have any records that indicate that these culverts, what they were originally designed for, what their original intent? Was it agricultural drainage, a natural hillside runoff? Or was it for industrial surface flow from buildings and paved areas?
I don't know when the culverts were constructed. I just know what they are today, what they drain today, and what we will be sending to them under the proposed conditions.
You know the capacity of the 3 culverts?
We can provide that. I
Why don't
don't
you
know the
provide the
specific
capacity
numbers.
of the 3 culverts and then
Sorry.
be able to testify that they have sufficient capacity to take care of the stormwater coming off the site?
I just want to clarify, because we're a major development, we are subject to quantity reduction regulations. So as part of this project and stormwater facilities that are designed, the peak runoff rate leaving the site is less than under existing conditions.
Understood.
Yes.
You still get the capacity. Because what if by reducing it, it still didn't have capacity? However unlikely that is, right? But then to get the capacity, it's a fact. It can't be disputed. I'm going.
Has there been any hydrologic or hydraulic analysis to show that these culverts can handle the new volume?
Like that's what we just asked them to apply to the capacity calculation.
Okay, and additionally, on that subject, will this volume alter the riverbank on the receiving side or the bottom contours at their outfall?
And the idea behind here, by using the same 3 culverts, we are reducing the rate of runoff that is draining to those culverts from what is going there today.
But
Today,
the quantity of water will be greater, but it's gonna go through at a much slower rate.
correct.
And so rather than a storm taking, you pick how much time the water flows through. It's gonna be less water, but for a longer number of days, something like that, correct?
That is correct, and that complies with the DEP and the township standards on quantity, on runoff quantity regulations for how to control that.
Are you planning on desilting these culverts? Because,
Not because, it's asking.
yeah, okay, do you plan on desilting them?
Yes, if the culverts need to be maintained or flushed, the applicant will do that, yes.
Are you aware of their existing condition?
Personally, no.
Are you aware that the section of the river that these culverts discharge into is a designated, federally designated wild and scenic corridor?
Yes,
And this area of the river is known as a attractive trout stream. There are stocked and native trout breeding in those areas.
He's asking, are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of the specifics. I'm aware of the designation wild and scenic, yes.
given that there's a dam downstream.
Are you aware there's a dam downstream?
So,
I am not.
okay,
Assuming that there was a dam downstream,
back here.
ask a question.
It's- How will you prevent discharge from settling out before the dam? You, with,
Question?
Can you clarify what you mean by settling out?
okay. Will there be things in the discharge coming from the site that are not in it now?
So as part of the project, again, I'm gonna refer to the major development standards again. One of the other categories is something called runoff water quality. So because this waterway is a category 1 waterway, any discharge within the 300-foot riparian zone is subject to what I call 95% TSS. Which stands for total suspended solids, which is what you're referring to in terms of particulate matter that would settle out. So the applicant is complying with all the required water quality requirements for a major development, as well as for any discharge within that category 1 stream buffer. So that water quality measure is being provided, and they're being provided through green infrastructure techniques. That's why we have these things like the bioretention basins, where water fills in the basin and it filters through a natural vegetative media to filter and clean that water before it's discharged from the site.
If I were to test the discharge water coming from those culverts today, or over the weekend when the rainstorm comes, and then I were to test it after this proposal was built, would I see things after the proposal was built in that water that I do not see in them now?
I gotta be honest, I don't know how to answer that because I don't know what's in the water today. It's a farm field. I imagine fertilizers and pesticides are used that wouldn't be used in the future condition. I don't know how to answer that. I
Well,
will
you
tell
don't
you
know
that.
the answer.
I will tell you that the applicant is meeting its obligation for water quality. It meets the township and state standards for water quality leaving the site.
Let me ask you a question. Water's running off a farm field right now. Is there any requirement, any percentage TSS?
No. Honestly, one of the big contributors to things like algae blooms and things like that are because you have farm fields essentially discharging runoff untreated into waterways.
Are you aware that the Musconetcong River forms a boundary between Greenwich and Bloomsbury?
Yeah.
And also,
He said
Are you-
yes.
are you aware that it also forms a boundary between Warren and Hunterdon County?
Honestly, I was not aware of the county thing, but yes, I'm aware of the boundary along the waterway between the municipalities, yes.
It does.
Yeah.
It forms that boundary. Have you coordinated anything with the adjoining municipalities or any state agency to evaluate cross-boundary impacts on shared public water?
We have not. So the applicant is seeking approval from the DEP for the regulated areas on site that are related to the waterway. But no, the applicant has not sought any land use approvals from the township of Bloomsbury because they're not required. The application takes place in the township.
So you have not made any effort to do any cross-boundary communication?
I'm not quite sure what you mean by that.
Other than giving notice to anyone
Yeah,
within
we-
200 feet, have you done anything other than that? And if you don't know, just say, I don't know.
Public notice has been provided, and public notice again will be provided during the DEP submission where the townships and the counties will be notified as well.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Good questions.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up for tonight.
Okay, so the hearing on this application is going to be continued to what's our next day? November 13th. And
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
yes, the hearing on this application is going to be continued to November 13th. And there's going to be no need for further notice. So everyone should mark that down if you want to participate, listen, whatever, be here on November 13th of 2025. 7:30 PM in this room. Now, when was this application due complete?
I think I gave you, I think I extended it already through December or
Oh, yeah,
January.
I think it was
think you did.
December 31st.
Yeah, we're good. Well, yeah, okay, we're good.
Excuse me. before you stop, will Mr. Will Mr.
Guys, excuse me, we're still having a meeting here. Go ahead, Joe.
Will Mr. Estrani be attending the next meeting? Will he be?
Unless something comes up suddenly, we would intend to start with the conclusion of the questioning of the public of Mr. Estrani.
Right. Thank you. Okay,
Motion to adjourn by a board member,
Motion.
second, Jeremy. All in favor?
Aye.